Kylie.
I'm Corey.
And we are
Lit Libations.
Welcome. Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Oh, okay.
No, just kidding. You owe me one of these drinks.
Yeah, this is a special episode for us. Kind of. We're doing something a little bit different.
It's really special, I think. No, I'm being serious. That sounded really sarcastic. I'm being so actually very serious.
Yeah. An author named Nicole Rowles reached out to us and said, hey, can you guys read my book for your podcast? It'd be super amazing. And so she has a newly published book called Anarchist Underground, obviously, if you read the title to the episode. And it's like, let's see, let me read the blurb.
Okay, I'll explain why I'm excited. Because when we started this podcast, we had always discussed how when we potentially, like when people wanted us to, that we'd want to read books from like new up and coming authors and things and such, and be recommending books that like haven't gotten popular yet.
Yeah, that's so amazing.
Potentially.
It's so fun.
And it's really cool because I personally thought that it would happen this early, and it feels really awesome that she reached out and wanted us to review this book.
Right.
So it's kind of a cool thing that I just didn't think that we'd be experiencing yet. And I'm fucking excited.
It is exciting. And I like it a lot so far, and I can't wait to finish it. I'm like, I need to know what happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so Anarchist Underground is a standalone romantic fantasy political intrigue following a strong and tortured heroine drawn into a sinister world of criminal gangs, warring kingdoms, betrayal, and revenge. Ayla Rin embarks on a dangerous journey to foil a treasonous plot, confront her demons, and battle against her heart as she falls for a man she knows she shouldn't love.
Honestly, like so far, my only complaint is like I'm gonna be really disappointed when this is over. Like
because it's not a series. Because I
wish it was a series. I really wish it was a series.
I know. I just
because I could see this become like I could see it like maybe like pushing more. Like I could see more things happening.
Maybe she'll write more within this world.
I would love that personally.
Okay, cool.
Anyways,
I say let's just get into it.
Okay. Do we have any? You don't have any announcements or anything?
No, I don't.
Announcements.
Think. Nothing new.
Announcements in the bell.
Nothing new. Just what we're drinking. So we're drinking this super cool lime green drink. It has Midori, vodka, and seltzer water. So it's not super fancy. But it's like lime green because of the gray dream, which is like the drug that is like everyone's fighting over in the book.
Yeah.
And it's like lime green, isn't it?
I thought it was like gray.
It's called Gray Dream, but you know, once we get to those chapters, we'll double check.
See, whatever. The point is it's like kind of tonic-y or it feels like
poisony.
It could feel like a poison that you're not supposed to drink. Mm-hmm. Although poisons are supposed to kill you. This Gray Dream's like a drug, but I'm not mad.
It could kill you.
It has alcohol in it. It could kill you. It does have alcohol in it. So honestly, let's hope that it does everything that Gray Dream does for me, but personally, without the compulsion aspect of it. We'll explain that later.
But yeah, I just came up with it real quick.
Love it. Okay. Should we get it poppin'?
Yeah, and I'll look up really quick what color Gray Dream is. It's gotta be gray, but I swear I saw something that it was putrid green.
Yeah, okay. I'm feeling like it was gray, but okay. Okay, chapter 1. I'm sorry. We meet our main character, Ayla Rin, who has just won the war against Niel. Okay, how do you say it? I'm sorry,
Niel.
Niel. Okay, against Niel. The war against Niel for Dunwald and for King Sabin, who's the king of Dunwald. Yeah. So Ayla is stressed already because this war has been her identity.
Oh my God, yeah.
For like a while. Fighting is kind of her identity, but also this war.
And personality.
And yeah, just like her whole vibe is like being in this war.
Yeah.
And now it's over. Like, what the fuck is she going to do? Ayla, by the way, is commander of the army. 7,000 strong after the war. I think before the war, they came in with like around 10,000 soldiers. And she's only 20 fucking 1.
That's insane.
That's literally
so young.
I actually couldn't wrap my fucking head around this. Like I genuinely was like, holy shit. But it does make sense like when they explain her background and like her story and such and so on.
Yeah.
But
and
I was
all
like,
train at such a young age for that kind of thing.
It was
in this kind of world.
Yeah. It just was like a jaw drop moment. They're all headed back to Dunwald, which is, I think, the capital of Dunwin.
Yeah, that was confusing to me. I was like, is Dunwald and Dunwich the same thing? But that makes sense if it's the capital.
Yeah. Well, well, that's where the king is. The king resides in Dunwald.
That makes
sense. So I'm
sense.
assuming that Dunwald is
Like
the capital of Dunwin.
Like Ater is the city in Niel.
Yes.
Got it.
Exactly.
I'm there.
And Ayla is grateful that all of her friends, her close friends, had survived the war with her.
Oh, that's good.
So her friends include, but are not limited to, I'm sure, Chase Fenner, Landon Holland, and Mason Tanner. Mason, we get a little bit more information about, is a captain and a bit older than Ayla, around maybe 30, 40, like late 30s, 40s is how I think what they said. And Ayla was in her unit when she was coming up as a cadet. But so they had passed over Mason for the role of commander in this war, but it appears that Mason has no ill will against Ayla. And my conspiracy mind was racing during this. I was like, oh, she doesn't.
That's
Lies.
gonna come back.
Lies.
That's gonna come back.
So yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Neither of us have read the second half, right?
Oh my God. Stop. We don't know.
That'd be hilarious. This one little line.
And I want to preface really quick. I did not read the second half yet.
Me either.
Because I really wanted to
make some predictions.
And be just fully invested in like the first half and not like have my mind be thinking of like what we already know.
Right. Yeah. It is hard to like write your notes and not talk about things that happen in the second half.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to be very present for like where we're at right now.
That's so nice of you.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ayla is originally from Hiver, which is a small border village.
I think it's pronounced Hiver.
Okay. Ayla is from Hiver, which is a small border village. And one thing about Ayla is her personality is one, about being a fighter in the war, and then two, about being a borderlander.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like two things about Ayla.
And I'm still not even quite sure what it all means.
Yeah. It hasn't really full circled
right.
yet. Ayla is part Niel, which is represented by her short wavy brown hair. And like, so she has like dark brown hair that only goes to her shoulder length and it's curly, but it also has like streaks of like light brown in it, like caramel brown. And that's very distinct because the caramel brown is what gives people the idea that she's not full Nielin. Yeah.
Okay.
And then bright blue eyes.
Yes. And she says her
very
hair
specific to Niel.
Her hair won't grow like longer than shoulder length.
Yeah. That's so crazy. I would hate my life. But anyways.
Give me longer hair.
Anyways, back to Hiver. She and the Hiver army left Hiver unprotected to help in the conflict between Dunwin and Niel, leaving Hiver unprotected. Leaving Hiver unprotected. And that has always left Ayla with like massive guilt. Back when the war was, I think, starting. A man named Amori and his husband, Ewan, had raised her like their own child. But it's clear that neither one of them are her actual parent at all. And she had a friend from childhood called Tomas. I like Tomas. Okay.
Yes.
She had a friend from childhood called Tomas, with who she spent a night of sexy time with to fill the hole of battle after the battle had finished.
And she's so guilty about that.
And she feels because Tomas loves Ayla, and Ayla is not like,
she feels like
she's not in love with Thomas, I fear.
No, definitely not. She used him to feel something.
Mm-hmm. And she knew when she looked in his eyes and he like had dreamy eyes.
He was like, finally.
He was like, I've been dreaming of a true love's kiss. And she's like, this was not a true love's kiss.
This is a one-time thing.
So Ayla and her army arrived back to Dunwald, which is presumably the capital of Dunwin. Oh my God. And it is where King Nick Saban lives. I said Nick Saban. I forgot I wrote that.
Is his first name Nick?
No.
Who's Nick Saban?
No. Okay, I'm so sorry. So I call him King Saban. I think you say Saban.
Yeah.
So I said Saban and I couldn't get it out of my head. And Nick Saban, I'm fairly certain, is like a very, very famous, well-known football coach.
Okay. I would have never gotten that.
So I could not get that
You
out
put
of
it
my
in
head.
there.
I was like, King Nick Saban.
I love when our own notes surprise us.
I know. Okay, upon arriving, something is suspicious for Ayla and her group of friends. So here's a list, right? So first, a man is killed right in front of them, and they notice that
That is suspicious.
Yeah, that is suspicious. They notice that the blue lines in the street that mark the Anarchist Underground territory has grown and come up so far that it is now off the main road to the castle, which is crazy.
Very close.
Crazy. The Anarchist Underground is basically a mob who has jurisdiction to rule over themselves as long as they stay in their reserved area of the city.
That's so fun.
Quote, the anarchist, oh my God, I can't say anarchist. The anarchists aren't protected or governed by the rule of law. And then this is what Mason had said. They make their own rules. That was the deal. The king ordered that no officer of his army would interfere with the crimes as long as they don't mess with us.
Yeah.
The king allowed this because when they were under the rule of the king, when they would do their crimes and the police would pursue them, civilians were often hurt or killed in this process.
That makes sense.
So in order to keep civilians safe, they had their own area like
Do what
mapped
you gotta
out
do. Stop killing civilians.
so that they could do as they please so long as they didn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Because they didn't seem to give a shit. They'll murder anyone.
Yeah.
It's like the area of killers.
That's scary.
And the fact that the territory had grown was highly, highly concerning.
Duh.
Now, the second thing that was weird is typically after a war that they win, there's like a huge celebration for people
Yeah, she like
who fought the
expected
war and
everyone
like
to
won the war.
welcome them with a huge party, like a welcoming committee.
Yeah. And I think right here she mentions too that she's like, especially for me, like I won this war by myself. Like,
Yeah, like,
basically.
that's crazy.
She's like, what do you mean?
I'm like super famous.
Where are my flowers?
There's nothing.
I love her for that.
Yeah.
Because as she should.
Yeah,
When we
she's
heard
21. You
why,
kidding?
when we heard why she deserves her flowers, I was like, bitch deserves her flowers. Although the streets were not empty, there was just no celebration. Now, the third thing that was weird is when Ayla dismounted her horse and went into the castle, the doors to the throne room were closed.
Oh.
And the guards had helmets on, which is strange because the guards only wear helmets in battle.
Yeah.
So she's like, what the fuck?
Are you getting ready to fight?
And then finally, the last thing that was obviously out of place was on King Saban's throne was Huntley Bartomy?
I like Bartamy.
Okay, Huntley Bartomy, which this bitch
Should
is
not be
a
on the throne.
legend.
Yeah.
Okay. She is a badass who earned the role of ambassador of Niel at 21 years old and held the position for 20 years.
Wow.
Until the war broke out.
That's crazy.
We learned quickly that King Nick Saban is dead.
R.I.P.
7 months ago.
Oh my gosh.
And the council appointed Huntley as steward of Dunwald.
Steward of the throne.
Is a steward like a temporary position?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. Until
Interesting.
I don't know how they like where to go from there. Like temporary until when?
Yeah.
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 I don't know.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Considering what happens.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, and okay, so he was killed, so this is crazy, right? So the king was killed and his guards were all killed as well. And it was Prince Bryn who killed them.
The king's son.
The king's only son, right? Why?
Jaime Lannister.
No, yeah, well, no, Tyrion Lannister killed his dad.
Wait, wasn't Jaime labeled as a king killer though?
Oh yeah, but he wasn't
But
the
not-
son of a
not
king.
his own dad, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah,
Oh, like he was called
Kingslayer.
king killer, right? So
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
as well versed as you are in that.
No, that's fair. But yeah, so Prince Bryn is he's a
They're both-
he's a kinslayer and he's a kingslayer.
Wow, cool.
Which
Good
is
for
like
him.
a double like sin in the world of
This.
fucking yeah. Now Ayla is super upset because King Saban was a father figure for her. She loved him dearly and he loved her. He even gave her his ring with his family's insignia when she went off to war.
Oh my gosh.
She had also trained with Prince Bryn and the guards of the king. So it was all just really very tragic.
Very shocking as well.
But according to Huntley, Prince Bryn is an anarchist and the people are calling for his death.
Oh, okay.
Ayla says that he deserves a trial and that she can assemble a team to find him, but Huntley cuts her off and tells her no, that she should take some time off, not as a punishment, but as a reward. Basically, she should retire.
Yeah, like you are quitting.
Okay, and we're going to revert back to the two things that we know about Ayla. She loves to fight. Okay, that's number one. Okay. So she does not want this.
No.
And we do find out here too when Huntley gives her this
quote unquote reward.
Quote unquote reward. Yes, exactly. That Ayla had won the war in a single-handed combat fight against Niellen's best soldier.
Oh my gosh, I just got chills.
Yeah. And so they call her the Reaper of Dunwald.
Yes.
Oh,
that's a good nickname.
That gives me shivers. Not hivers, shivers. But fighting is in Ayla's blood. So although she kind of accepts this feels like a terrible fate. Like not
it doesn't
a
feel like reward. Yeah.
Yeah. She does beg to continue to help because she believes that the king of Niel will not be put down for long, that he demands retribution for the death of his son, who he blames Dunwald for. She's also like, have you not noticed that the anarchists have expanded their territory? You are fighting a war on two fronts. Like, you need help.
Yeah, what are you doing?
But Huntley insists that she's got it covered and literally shuts the door in Ayla's face.
Yeah, it's also very abrupt and so sudden.
Yeah,
it was like, what is happening here?
Hey, welcome back. You're fired. Get out.
Yeah,
like
go
that's
wherever. I don't care.
How it feels. Like, go wherever. Just get out of my face. Ayla, in her grief, goes to King Sabin's bedroom and thinks about how the king was killed by his only son. And that's so crazy.
And so sad.
I'm sorry, it's not funny. But like, that's crazy. Chapter 2. Ayla is currently at a bar fighting people for money and also to fill the hole that the end of the war had left.
Love that for her.
It's been 5 days since they got back, and this has been constant for her. I mean, she's got bruises on bruises, but she's winning everything, though. She's probably got a lot of money. She looks in the crowd and sees Mason, who is clearly upset and disappointed. Ayla follows her out and confirms that she is disappointed in Ayla. She tells her a bar fight is no place for a soldier, but Ayla says she's not a soldier. She's a civilian now. Mason is upset because she feels Ayla has abandoned her people, her friends. Coming here was a mistake. This is what Mason says. Coming here was a mistake. Damn the rest of us, Ayla Rin. You do whatever you want.
Dang.
Tensions are high.
Yeah.
She tries to call out to Mason, but she feels so lost. She says her whole life had been upended. Facing her friends like this was shameful. As a soldier, she'd always known exactly who she was, what she cared about, and what she valued. Right now, she was drifting untethered from the principles that usually grounded her, like she was falling through the sky at a nauseating speed. It was more terrifying than fighting in a battle.
Oh my gosh.
Mason tells her she expected more from her. As Mason leaves, Ayla is overcome with emotion. In a moment of irrational thinking, she backs into the boundary of the Anarchist Underground and takes off Sabin's ring.
Oh my God.
As she is walking, it took her a second to realize that she was being followed. She slips into the alleyway right as a hooded figure walks past. They both pull out their weapons and turn them on each other. She can see that he is looking at her, but she can't make out who he is. In a moment of PTSD, she is back on the...
That's how I was writing about it too.
Literally.
Yeah.
She is back on the battlefield fighting Nielens, and before she knows it, she plunges her sword into the person's heart, killing him.
Oh my gosh.
She pulls off his hood and recognizes him as a soldier. She had fought with him a time or two. She's confused because she knows that he saw her face, and she is obviously very recognizable. She's the fucking Reaper of Dunwald.
He knew who she was.
Yes. She's the half Niellan commander who was the king's favorite.
Yeah.
The fucking Reaper of Dunwald. This had to be a targeted attack. There's no other explanation.
Yeah, it was. So for sure.
Yeah. She stumbles back, and a woman that is like across the blue line starts yelling that like saw everything. I was like so kind of confused about this part. I was like, so people just like yell, like, aren't the anarchists supposed to be able to do whatever they want? So like, why would someone not in Anarchist Underground care about what someone's doing in Anarchist Underground?
Right. Okay. So she's just drawing attention to it.
Yeah.
Like she's like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Murder!
Yeah.
And then two figures join the woman almost immediately and recognize Ayla. Oh, maybe it was okay. Okay, never mind.
It's on the other side.
Yeah. I feel like I know maybe why this happened.
Oh,
the way it
okay.
did. Okay. Sorry.
I'm still lost.
Okay.
It's okay. Keep going.
Yeah. She wanted to run, but her legs felt too heavy. She knew she would kill the two soldiers that were with the woman in a fight if it came to that, but she couldn't stomach that. Because those are her own people,
Yeah,
and she
those are her
can't kill any
soldiers.
more of her own soldiers tonight. Like, it's too much.
It's too much killing.
One of the men says to her, killing one of your own, eh? The steward will pay a pretty penny to have you brought back over the blue line. So that's not good. Chapter 3. When Ayla was 16, she arrived at Dunwald for military training. She was already a seasoned fighter and rose up in the ranks very quickly.
At 16.
At 16 years old.
That's like your sophomore year in high school.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I just learned to drive at 16.
Yeah.
But you know what Ayla can't do is drive. So fuck you, bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
Never driven a car.
You know, you may be able to like lead people to fucking battle. Okay. But I can drive a car.
Can you drive an automatic?
Can you drive a stick shift? Because I can't either. Sorry, Ayla. At one point, Sabin had her fighting Huntley in training. Like they had one battle together, like fight in training.
Yeah.
And it was a good fight. It lasted 30 minutes.
Dang.
But Huntley would ultimately win that fight, earning, Ayla's like massive respect. Like she looks up to Huntley crazy.
Yeah.
Now she was being brought to Huntley, and this is not how she wanted to face her again. When the guards brought Ayla to the throne room, everything just seemed off. Landon and Chase had been part of the guards who brought her in, and they seemed like fearful and like fidgety.
Yeah. Everything's so weird and confusing.
Yeah. She can sense, so she's like the sixth sense that something's just amiss, but she can't quite put her finger on it.
Yeah.
Ayla, however, felt at home in the castle at Dunwald and felt like she would be able to navigate this conversation easily enough. But right off the bat, Huntley accuses Ayla of murdering the soldier. As much as Ayla tried to explain it, only made the situation worse. The conversation ended with Huntley flat out calling Ayla an anarchist and sentencing her to a life of prison.
Damn. What? That was fine.
That was not what I was meant to say. It's fine. That's crazy, though. A life of prison?
Yeah.
For just like one little murder?
Defending yourself. Don't. You got to cut that. No. She was defending herself, though. And Huntley knows that.
Without 1 ounce of... But how do you like leap to her being an anarchist just because she's... Like, what?
Did it happen over the line?
It happened when she was in the underground, but what, you take one step in the underground, all of a sudden you're an anarchist?
Yeah, that's how it goes. You gotta be careful where you're walking.
Damn it.
Be tough for commuters.
I've been in the underground a couple of times for those damn good apples. They have better apples there.
Gotta be careful, don't be seen by anybody important.
That's true. Chase tried to speak up on Ayla's behalf, but Huntley only shut him down. Stating, "You're either with us or you're one of them, soldier. Which is it?"
It's like Octavia from the 100.
Oh my God, she's such a bad. Yeah,
or you are against one. You're one crew, or
you're
you're
with
enemy
what you're
on
the
crew.
Yeah, I love her though.
Octavia.
I will be an Octavia apologist till the day I die. As Ayla was being taken to the cells, she thought about a life of imprisonment and decided
against it.
Let's not.
I'm not gonna do that.
I think I'd rather not. So Chase, Landon, Cora, and Rickard were the ones who were taking her to the cells, and she easily took them down, but without seriously like injuring them.
Yeah, of course. Those are still her friends.
I mean, yeah, like she just like. But to be fair, though, I think most of them were pulling their blows. I think Chase,
because they didn't want to hurt her either.
Yeah, Chase specifically was pulling his blows.
Yeah,
and he commented on how Ayla was also pulling hers, and Ayla told him that he was still her friend and she didn't want to hurt him. Yeah. And he was like, "That's what I needed to hear right now." And then he just like lays down. I think
just like flops.
He just like strikes a pose on the ground. He's like done.
Thank you for saying that.
I was obsessed.
I need to lay down.
I was like, Mason is my friend. Well, she says that he's like awfully dramatic, and I was like, I love him already.
Love that.
He hasn't been back. I love him now. As she headed for the bridge, she ran into Mason, and this was just far tougher because this was like her mentor. This was like, probably like a big sister figure.
I could see that.
Mason was a good fighter. And if Mason decided not to hold back, they would both likely not get out of this fight unscathed. But Ayla was a better fighter, so like she was gonna get out of it.
She's good, but she's
not
like
without hurting
not
Mason.
as good as me.
Yeah. She's got a little bit of that Zayd Meadows situation going on.
Oh gosh.
But if Mason remained unharmed, because like because she pulled her blows, then that would be considered treason.
Yeah.
So like she was in a pickle.
Sticky situation.
Yeah. So Ayla was like, okay, I know what's going on. So she tells her, I need you to know, I didn't want to kill him. You know me. I'd never kill one of my own soldiers unprovoked. He tried to kill me. I don't know why. I wish I did. Whatever comes next, I forgive you. Oh.
Like, whatever you choose to do, you know the truth now.
Oh.
Damn.
And in the end, Mason decided to let her pass and claimed that if anyone asked, Ayla didn't see her and offered her the best path out of the castle with like the least amount of guards to have to take down.
That's
I know.
so good.
I know. She said that she had already lost her king and she didn't want to lose her friend too.
Aww.
As Ayla walked past Mason, Mason told her, I don't believe it. You could never be one of them.
She didn't believe it. Something's going on. So she knows something's going on. Okay. Keep that in your mind. I have no idea what it means.
I know. And I was like, have you read fast?
No.
No. I have no idea because Mason has not
got to come back into play.
Chapter 4. Ayla is now in the slums of Dunwald in a tavern in the underground, obviously.
She's like fully embracing
the blue line.
her anarchist identity.
Well, because the guards can't go to the underground to like claim her.
Yeah, they don't.
And she's like, if they send some second-rate slum to come grab me, bitch, I'm a better fighter than them. I guarantee
it'll
it.
be fine.
Yeah, like I'll be all right.
I can take him.
Yeah. She mentions that King Saban had tried to get higher. Oh, she had mentioned that King Saban had tried to get higher status criminals, but only ever managed to get low-level people due to the fact that it was highly undesirable to be labeled as a traitor or like a snitch.
I could see that
By the other anarchists.
I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, you have like a bounty on your head. They're like gangs.
Oh yeah,
It's like
in the anarchists.
Yeah, underground.
Yeah, it's not good. Let me just open this really quick. I'm really hungry. I feel like this will help.
That's so fair. What about that ham sandwich you offered me?
I had one earlier and got hungry.
That's fair.
Okay.
No, that's fair.
Oops. Okay.
Ayla is depressed as fuck and decides that she's going to drink for the first time ever in her life. During the war, as commander, she had prohibited alcohol, which was not popular amongst her ranks, but she rather than be vigilant.
I think that's
In
so
like war.
funny.
Yeah. That she like prohibited alcohol.
Yeah, it's like your day off, like from the war. It's like your rest day.
It's your day off from the war. Like both sides just like respect like the Sunday.
It's like your time to, you know what I mean? Like you had a battle. You had like this battle you won. You had a battle you won. You're going back to the barracks to like celebrate. No alcohol.
You're going back to just like to let off some steam. You just need like a glass of wine.
Not it.
A like pint of beer.
Try
Like,
playing
that's
Scrabble
all
or
you
something.
want. You can't get laid.
Maybe
you
throw a
can't
football.
get beer. Go throw a football.
No alcohol. I could see how that's not popular.
You
That's all
literally
I'm
had
saying.
just killed someone. You have like full PTSD. You're just trying to numb your brain.
Yeah.
No. Sorry. Night terrors for you tonight, buddy. That's crazy. But I do understand her.
I understand both sides for sure. But she's so young. I'd be so pissed if I was like
The
28.
21-year-old.
If I was like,
Or like
28 under her command and I just want to drink after this battle. And she's like, no.
It's my day off.
Damn it. Like
It's
I'm not
my
gonna
day
like,
off.
I'm gonna be fine tomorrow. It's gonna be fine.
You'll be fine. Honestly, if I get murdered in the dead of the night, at this point, I don't care. Just give me my beer.
I don't care.
Give me my beer, Ayla.
That's rough. That's rough.
That's so funny. I'm obsessed. So anyways, yeah, first time for her drinking. And she drank and drank until the burning subsided and her emotions started to dull. And she realized that she needed to fight because that's her whole
Yeah, that's what she just
personality.
needs to
And I'm
fight.
obsessed with her for it. So Ayla jumps up and asks to join the fighting ring, like in the bar, like the like low status fighting.
Yeah,
ring
every bar
in the
has one. Yeah.
It does seem like every bar has one, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the classic thing.
Yeah.
In Dunwald, this is like bar fights.
Yeah, truly.
Regulated bar fights. Anyways, she is to go up against Dagny, who is the champion of this like local tavern bar fighting ring.
I'm glad we could find humor in this.
Like What? I'm sorry. No, it's good. I
don't know. Maybe it's a bigger bar. I don't know.
He's the champion.
It reminds me of Fight Club.
Okay.
Like every bar has their own little Fight Club.
Does he get a belt? Like, does he get a trophy?
I have no idea.
He's the champion. I don't know. I'm not very versed in just like whatever underground fighting rings. So maybe there is some sort of system that I just don't know.
Not
it just
sure.
seems so silly. But Ayla, having far more like technical training, beats him easily, even going so far as to taunt him throughout the fight to give the crowd a good show. Dagny, as you can imagine, was not happy when she won. He gave her the old thumb across the neck to signal that she's gonna fucking die.
When we leave this place, you're dead.
You're dead. And Ayla knew she probably needed to stay vigilant enough to protect herself. She sat back where she was before after the fight in the corner of the bar, drinking until the patrons left. The barkeep, first of all, she's also never had alcohol before, so her like tolerance has got to be so low. So I'm wondering like how much she actually drank.
Also, if she commanded another army, she would let them drink after this experience?
No.
Still no?
Do we not know Ayla Wren? Absolutely not.
But she experienced it now, finally.
Yeah, she didn't say like anything positive.
No.
She just said like, it numbed my emotions and my taste buds. Like,
in my taste buds.
in my taste buds. The barkeep came over and asked if she wanted another one, but Ayla declined, knowing that more than likely knowing more than likely that when she leaves the bar, Dagny will probably be waiting for her.
Yeah, she needs to have her wits about her.
Yeah.
Have her wits about her.
As her and the barkeep are talking. Sorry. As her and the barkeep are talking, a group of men walk into the bar and just start hitting on this young redheaded kid. Like, not like hitting on him. Like,
I was like, damn, I didn't remember that. They're like beating him up.
That's like my fault. It's 100% my fault. They literally are
flirting with some young redhead.
No, they're like beating him. They're like hitting him in the face.
Damn.
Like they're hitting on him. Like they're hitting on him.
Yeah, they're hitting him. They're hitting him.
No, that's not.
They're hitting him.
Okay,
they're beating him up.
I didn't even write hitting on. I
You just added that in.
Sorry. The barkeep runs him out of the bar and he explains that the redhead kid is an addict of gray dreams.
Oh, is this the first time we hear of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a really bad drug floating the streets that gives you a good high, but you also become vulnerable to compulsion. Ayla asks him about that and why the underground isn't...
What's up with that?
Ayla asks him about that and why the underground isn't rationed on alcohol. The barkeep explains that the anarchists brew their own concoctions and they're decent. Like, they don't taste bad and they do the job.
Oh, yeah.
Quote, the big man running the underground keeps his promises to help the citizens and their businesses, unlike the locals. No, unlike the nobles. Sorry.
Okay.
So the big man, who is like leading the charge of the underground, keeps his promises to help the citizens of our town, unlike the nobles.
Oh, okay. So they're like proud to be in anarchy.
Yeah. Because he was like bragging.
Yeah.
He's like, business down here is booming.
It really,
Especially
is.
since the war. He tells her that a girl like her doesn't belong in a bar brawl, and she asks, where does she belong then? And he says,
I really don't know, and I'm really
he's
looking.
like, please, actually, because I don't have a place.
I'm looking.
I can't go home. He says, I think there's someone waiting outside who wants to answer that. Oh. And Ayla goes outside to 4 people with hoods and like cloths over their faces. And she assumes it's Dagny and his like gaggle of friends probably. Yeah. And she decides not to fight because she wants to see where like they're going to take her. She wants to see where this is going to go.
Maybe I'll have a bedroom soon.
She's like, I'm here for the plot. Since they have hoods and cloths over their faces and like heads and stuff, she doesn't recognize anyone.
Of course.
Other than Dagny. Oh. But one of the other guys seems familiar, but she can't like tell. But and also there's the woman. Like, I don't know why that was so.
She just like,
that's a woman. That's definitely Dagny. Yeah.
The rest are like square.
As they secure her hands and swoop her up to take her wherever they're going, her captor told her, "Don't move. We don't want you dead. Not yet."
That's very scary.
They put a wet cloth over her mouth and she drifted to sleep. Mm-hmm. So they chloroformed her.
They chloroformed her
in whatever way. I still have 2 chapters. Okay, chapter 5. Ayla wakes up in a beautiful room with a fire blazing in the fireplace. She is chained to the bed, tight enough to where she can't leave, but she can sit up. She hears a voice saying, "Welcome back, sweetheart," and she sees him standing in the doorway. It's Prince Bryn!
From the king killing thing.
The king and kinslayer.
Double jeopardy.
Yeah,
That's not what that means.
Double. That was the man that was familiar to her when the four brought her. That was the man who was familiar to her when the four people brought her in.
Yeah, yep.
She was boiling with rage and bloodlust after what he had done to Sabin, because that was her kind of dad figure.
That's my dad.
My dad.
Sabin is my dad.
But she was able to calm herself down and decided that one way or another, she was going to bring him back to court so he could answer for his crimes with a trial.
Needs a fair trial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you are innocent until proven guilty, but also you're probably guilty.
Yeah. And I need to just know that through fair trial.
And no, that's fair. And that's a fair thing.
It is.
Yeah. Because he honestly... Oh, he didn't seem fazed at all by the fact that he had killed his father. Like, he seemed cool as a cucumber, and she was shocked.
Yeah.
He didn't recognize her, though, even though they had trained together for years.
Rude.
And he even reassured her that her virtue was intact.
That's disgusting. And also, I'd be so offended that he didn't recognize me.
That would be so fun. I would literally...
Like, are you kidding me?
I'm the fucking Reaper of Dunwald.
4 years together. Are you kidding me?
And I'm the Reaper of Dunwald.
I sat behind you in math for 4 years.
Oh my God. That has probably happened to me, let's be honest.
Yeah, me too.
As they bantered back and forth, him making comments about how she fights so well, she realizes that he was in the tavern when she fought Dagny. Oh. She asks if he was going to kill her, but he says he couldn't even if he wanted to. She's like, "This is Anarchist Underground. Can't you do whatever the fuck you want?" And another voice from the door says, "Nobody can do whatever they want, not even an anarchist." It was an older gentleman, like around 40, who had the characteristics of a border man. I don't know why I wrote that. It doesn't matter, actually. It hasn't mattered yet.
It might matter in part two.
It might matter in part two. He just radiated power and intelligence, and she knew that she had to be a bit more careful with him. She asked if she could be free of the handcuffs, and he obliged. He told Slate, who is actually Prince Bryn,
right,
to unlock the cuffs.
That's his alias that he has for himself.
Yeah, she realized that they either didn't know who Bryn was, or they were in on the whole like killing the king conspiracy situation.
Okay,
and she didn't know what the situation was, so she wanted to make sure she kept his identity for like, I don't know why she didn't out him in this moment, but whatever.
Yeah, she's like, "I'm in trouble. This is Prince Bryn." Like that's great.
Well, maybe because outing him would probably out her as the Reaper of Dunwald.
Yeah, and then they're both.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that's fair.
That makes sense.
They asked her about her background, and she lied, saying that she was a member of the king's army, which is a half lie.
Yeah,
but her name was Anna, and that's a full lie. She asked the man's name, and he said his name was Splinter. She's like, "Okay, well, what do you want, Splinter?" And he looked at her up and down, like weird, and he says he wanted a fighter.
Oh.
Like because Christina Aguilera in that one video. Fighter!
Gotta get
This is how I picture Ayla in that. Like when she's in the training room.
Oh my gosh.
I'm joking. That'd be
amazing. It would be very
Chapter 6. It turns out that the outer appearance of the slums does a good job hiding the wealth in that part. Did I say wealth?
I don't know.
The wealth in that part of the city because Splinter was rich.
Oh yeah.
Like at one point, Ayla even was like, he might be richer than the king.
That's so interesting to me.
Yeah. As Splinter led Ayla through the lavish home, she gawked at how nice it was. The house was covered in a serpent curved into an S, engulfed in flames in every room. Like it was on the wallpaper. It was like
that's his
in
brand.
The windows.
Okay,
it was like,
brand.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he literally has.
He has a brand down in Anarchy.
Yeah, yeah. He led her to the dining room, and before they got there, Bryn had slipped out when she was like gawking at all the shit. And it was just Splinter and Ayla at this point, and immediately he said, "Good. I'm dying to know what business the Reaper of Dunwald has in Anarchist Underground."
So he recognized her right away.
Mm-hmm. Ayla is shocked, and she realizes this is the man that runs.
This is the big boss.
This is the big man. Yeah. He quickly confirms this and says that this is his town and there's nothing that goes on in Dunwald without him knowing about it. Ooh. And I'm like, even across the blue line, I wonder?
Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe.
She asks if he's going to kill her, but he only wants to ally with her because of how good of a fighter she is.
Yeah,
and obviously,
I could use you.
You know, she kills a lot. So
that's what he does. He sees good fighters and he recruits them.
Exactly. He asks about the soldier she killed, and she again insists that it was self-defense and he'd attacked her.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know what that was about. It was crazy.
He asked how it felt to kill a fellow comrade. She knew he was looking for a specific answer, and if she got it wrong, Splinter would probably kill her.
Oh.
She kicked herself mentally for getting herself into this situation because she wasn't like vigilant at the bar. Like, why was she in a random bar fight? Like, what
None of
the
this
fuck
has
is she
been,
doing?
in her character.
Yeah, like this is all very, very impulsive. She says that she wants to fight. That's her answer. She's like, I like fighting. I want to fight. That's my deal.
You got to fight?
Which seems to be the right answer. And they agree to keep her living under his roof, a secret, because his people would not be happy about learning that the Reaper of Dunwald is literally living under his roof.
Makes sense.
And he tells her that he is not like the Steward of Dunwald. There is no dismissal from this job that you can walk away from.
Oh, that's not good. That is like when you're in a gang and you're like, there's no quitting.
If you
want out, you're dead, or you work for me, or you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't even have a choice, which is crazy too. Why? Because she had a fight with Dagny. Like, I don't even understand.
Yeah, she's in like a common bar fight.
She was like in this like a random
all of a sudden,
bar
she's
fight.
attached to this underground anarchist.
This would be gang. The big man, no doubt.
Yeah, crazy,
dude. Ayla's life kind of sucks sometimes.
It's so fun. It's such an adventure.
Yeah, it is. He also tells her that she may be the Reaper of Dunwald, but this is his city. And if she betrays him, there isn't a place that she can hide that he won't find her. She better find that inch. I'm just kidding.
That is so niche. That is so niche.
You would have had to have literally watched our other Haunting Adeline.
All of Haunting Adeline episodes.
Was it episode 1 or 2? Was in one of them.
I don't remember.
He's like, there's not an inch that she can go that I won't find her. And 5 seconds later, she better find that inch.
What inch? You said there wasn't one.
You said there wasn't an inch. Then I immediately thought of that.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Then he pulls a rope by where he's sitting, and the 4 people who had taken her from the tavern walk in. So it's Laz, who is Nielen, Nuala, Dagny, and last that comes in is Prince Bryn / Slate. He walks in late, though, Slate does, and they talk like they were expecting someone else to join, but we don't know who yet.
Okay.
Makes sense. Nuala introduces everyone, and then Splinter tells them that they will meet in the armory for training this evening. Did I say that? Does that sound done?
It sounded like you said evening.
Okay. Nuala introduces everyone, and then Splinter tells them that they will meet in the armory for training this evening. Dagny, Splinter, Bryn, and Nuala leave, but Laz stays, who is Nielen, by the way.
And she looks...
And he is looking at Ayla like he wants to fucking rip her head off.
And she looks Nielen, right?
She looks Nielen, yeah.
Right. And
this
he's
is like
at her because she fights for Dunwald.
This is in your chapter.
Yeah.
So it's your turn.
Oh, it's happening right now?
Yeah, it's happening right now.
Perfect. I'm like...
everything's happening.
It's my turn.
That was this is going to be a 4-hour episode.
Let's just get through it. Let's just keep going. Let's not dwell on it. Chapter 7. Laz starts attacking Ayla because she looks Nielen and had fought for Dunwald. She's ducking and weaving, avoiding his attacks out of instinct and resisting the urge to hit him back as she tries to explain that she's a Borderlander. She's able to subdue him and asks exactly how many Borderlanders that he's seen, and he goes silent. He's like, I guess I don't know what they look like.
She's like, what the fuck? Yeah. At one point she goes, this again. Like she's definitely encountered this before. I can't
imagine looking Nielen and fighting against Nielens.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that people would attack her in Dunwald. Maybe like Nielens attack her more often,
right.
like harder when they fought in the war.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
She's like, sorry about whatever you experienced in the war. It wasn't personal, and that enrages him. But she tells him that if he tries to hit her again, she'll cut off his remaining fingers. And he left in a huff, flicking her off with his good hand because he was like, he's all messed up.
And he was a Nielen soldier.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
That was like discharged because he had like lost fingers and like an eye or something.
He couldn't fight anymore.
He wasn't sufficient in fighting. So he's like, and he couldn't go back to Niel.
Yeah.
Because he was ashamed that he got discharged.
Yeah, that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
he could go back, but he
would have to live
too
in
ashamed.
in shame.
So he went to the one place that he hates.
Anarchist Underground.
Not even Anarchist
Dunwald.
Underground, just Dunwald in general.
That is pretty crazy.
Dunwald. Like, could
The
you imagine
center
if we
of
were like
Dunwald.
fighting like Germany?
And then he went to like Berlin.
And then I was like, I gotta go back to
Inside.
somewhere in Germany because I can't go home.
Yeah.
There's no other countries.
I don't really know.
Maybe this is like a 2-country world. There's no other places.
Maybe.
Anyways.
There's no map.
I'm sorry.
I didn't see a map.
No,
Maybe
there
in the
wasn't.
physical copy.
I'm very curious about that.
She doesn't feel comfortable sleeping under Splinter's roof until she gets a better idea of this entire situation. So she finds her way up to the roof of the manor or mansion or whatever. She's looking at the castle, thinking about her bedroom there, when Splinter interrupts her with enjoying the scenery. She comments on how she expected underground anarchists to be more underground. And I was like, yeah, me too. Like, what the hell's going on? I pictured it just like going downstairs. And now all of a sudden you're in the anarchists.
I thought like the city was like all of it was underground.
Yeah, me too. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
He says it's just a misconception. And she's like, one of many? And she explains that she needs more info if she's going to be an asset to his team. He tells her that because he's so organized and regimented and disciplined that they're not really anarchists. He's like, no one understands us.
Because we're well trained.
Yeah.
We're not
and
anarchists.
so organized. We're organized crime, so. He claims it was easy for King Sabin to cast them off as criminals and anarchists. King Sabin said that they peddled drink and sex and drugs to destroy the lives of his people. But Splinter says it's just business, baby. There's demand, we supply. It's not about destroying lives, it's about making a living.
And someone else would have done it anyway.
That was my impression of his story.
Yeah, he was like, baby,
Yeah,
chill.
it's just business.
Don't think
Like,
about
it's
it
not
too
personal.
hard. Yeah.
Then he tells Ayla that she needs to prove herself before she can fight as an anarchist. ... Are you ready? And Ayla loves a fight, as we know. She says, absolutely yes, I am ready. Later that evening, she found her way to the armory/training room and ran into a small boy sitting in the far corner with his back to her. She asked, who are you? He turned and hurled a knife at her that clipped her right arm, which she interpreted as a wicked warning shot. She thought he was only 8 or 9 and obviously Nealon due to his features.
Yeah.
He was striking in appearance, but he had tired, bruised purple shadows under his eyes. He was looking at her with an unsettling adult look that was penetrating and analytical, and he had clearly been tinkering with something. His hands go to another knife, and she's like, whoa, it's okay. I'm Splinter's friend?
Kind of.
Is that what you want to hear?
He's like, Splinter doesn't have friends.
Yeah, he's like, I'm also not Splinter's friend. He looked at her warily and started scratching at his neck. She tells him her name is Anna. Quote, the mistrust and guardedness telegraphed by his expression and posture were beyond his years. I love this boy.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
This boy is clearly troubled, and she speaks to him in Nealon, and it looked like he was going to actually say something, like he was excited that she spoke the language. But then the bell rang out, and there were footsteps headed their way. This place is so funny to me.
I know.
There's a bell that like a lunch bell.
Like a lot, lets them know.
Yeah,
classes in session, baby.
Gotta train.
Training classes in session. Third period.
Splinter comes in and tells the boy, nice of you to show up. And the boy is clearly on his guard. So that's who didn't show up the first time, right?
Yep.
Yep. It was time for Splinter and Ayla to spar. Everyone wanted to see what she could do against him, so they're all standing around watching. Splinter, and then he needed to see the quality of her fighting as well. Ayla is immediately engaged by the quality of his fighting, his certainty, and the way his blade moved as if it was an extension of his arm. And that reminds me of you, like when you play volleyball.
Oh my God.
Right? Like
So am I
when
Splinter?
you play somebody, no, you're Ayla.
But she noticed that he was like that.
Yeah, but she's also like that. Come on.
Oh, thank you.
And then when you play someone that's so good, you're like, give me your number. I'm a sub.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to play in your league.
That's true.
It is.
That's true. I've done that.
They spar. What?
It's gotten me in trouble.
What?
Anyways, move on.
Stop.
I'm just kidding.
They spar. She uses her agility to tire him out because he's much stronger than her. Then she does something crazy and throws her sword at him, which hits him square in the chest. Her blood is singing. Sparring with him was like a drug. She tells him, in a real fight, I would have aimed for your throat and you'd be dead. The room is quiet with shock, waiting to see what Splinter will do. And he said after a long moment, I'll have to watch my back. But he said it like in a lighthearted tone, but it was also overlaid with something ominous.
And his eyes were like piercing.
It was just only his mouth that was like, it didn't reach his eyes.
Yeah.
Then Splinter announces there's a new faction in town rivaling their business and they need to be taken care of. So arm up. Get some weapons.
Including you, Anna.
Ayla realizes that this small group and not a huge army were meant to kill these rivals. And she's like, this is Anarchist Underground right here. Like this 5 people. She's half excited about the upcoming fight and half sick at the thought that this is what Sabin despised about Anarchist Underground. But she's like, fuck it. I need this.
Yeah.
Everyone arms up and leaves except Bryn, who tells her she should have thrown the fight. No one beats Splinter and you better watch your back.
It's so crazy to me because like the way that she just like is so casual about like going to go murder people because like that's what they're going to do.
Yeah,
they're gonna like go like lay out a bunch of these new their rivals people.
Yeah,
she's like, oh, I need this. Like it's a way that like some people would talk about like sex or just like a cake, like a piece of cake or something,
drink,
or like a drink. And she's just like so casual about like literal murder.
I feel like she's also in a headspace where maybe she just doesn't care at this point.
True, but I just feel like it's just so it's so desensitized to her.
Yeah,
it's like it's insane.
It is.
But then she places all like the different kinds of murder. She's like, that means so much. I'm like, you murdered like 5 people in a night. You murdered hundreds, thousands probably on a bat like. That's a crazy thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic.
Anyways.
On the way to the Devil's Tongue, which is where they're going, Nuala tells Ayla it will be an honor to fight with her, but Laz is still huffing and puffing. She mentioned Laz also hates... So Nuala mentioned that Laz also hates King Marcus of Niel, if that's any consolation. And then Ayla said she had never given thought to what Nielans thought about their king. Quote, as a soldier, it wasn't particularly helpful to consider your enemy's feelings about anything, which I disagree. Because what does your enemy love? Go destroy it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fair. Like using it against them.
You gotta know what they,
I thought that was going to go so different. Like you were going to be like, well, we have to know what we're fighting for.
That's so funny that you thought that of me. I love that.
And you're like, use it against them.
Yeah.
What are their weaknesses?
Your enemies.
Kill the child.
Sorry, R.I.P.
Like,
child.
So frothing at the mouth. Oh my God, you'd be like a ruthless ruler.
Dude,
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Make me your steward or like your like
or whatever.
Emissary or whatever the fuck. I'll be there.
Military terms.
Yeah, insert word here.
They argue over whether King Marcus went mad over the death of his son, and that's why he started the border war, or if he killed his own son as an excuse to attack Dunwald. And they're like, whatever, all kings suck, LOL. And Bryn from behind says, couldn't agree more. And then he said, so Anna, would you rather serve a king who murdered his son or a king that murdered his father? Oh my gosh, he's like so spunky.
Yeah.
Chapter 8.
He's like so we love him.
The Devil's Tongue was a cesspit. Grey Dream addicts littered the road outside. Ayla is disgusted, but she's curious as to how Splinter's gang is going to handle this. She gets a little PTSD once inside because it's so crowded, and it reminds her of the battlefield. She almost lashes out and attacks a drunk guy that runs into her. They sit down, and Splinter orders Bowie, who is the little Neolan boy, we get his name finally,
Bowie,
to go get them food. He tells the group in an attempt to get them amped up for the fight, quote, you need to work together for our I don't think this is an actual quote, but you need to work together to fight for our shared goals. And if you are ever the reason that we do not achieve a goal, you will die a slow and painful death over many days. Something like that. Ayla thinks, I wouldn't have done it like that in the army, but at least it was motivating.
Yeah. I feel ready to go.
Like, all right, let's go. I gotta get this goal accomplished or whatever.
Otherwise, I'm gonna die as long as able death.
Then Bowie tells Splinter he didn't see their brand. He doesn't know who they are, and he doesn't know who they work for. But there's 15 of them. They have 15 swords, 7 daggers, 2 knives, and a crossbow with 12 bolts. And then he points them out He's like, there's 3 over there, there's 2 over there, there's like 4 over there, whatever. Ayla leans into Dagny to ask how old this child is because, wow, that was impressive show of skill. And he tells her he's 9. That's so young. It's incomprehensible.
Young. It is.
Splinter orders them all to eat and assigns them to the different groups of people. And Ayla noticed she was assigned to the greatest number of opponents and that it was probably just another test. She's getting ants in her pants and PTSD as well and excuses herself to the washroom, practically running. Dagny is waiting for her when she comes out because he's sus of her. But she's like, I'm here for myself and no one else. Like, and I feel like that's what everyone is an anarchist for.
Yeah.
Because I think he thinks that she's still fighting for Dunwin or something. Or like a Dunwin spy.
Oh, yeah. That's what they think, that she's a Dunwin spy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What they like orchestrated her, like, I don't know, her killing a soldier on the street. Like, what?
Yeah. Right.
You know, like,
yeah.
They like, it may potentially.
Who knows, I guess.
Yeah.
Splinter is at a table of cards with other anarchists, and someone throws a dagger at him. The guy was pretty mindless and unfocused looking, and Ayla stepped in front of the dagger and deflected it with her sword, and Splinter easily kills the guy, like, after that. The place erupts into chaos. Splinter says, kill them, and a crazy fight scene ensues. They hold their own. Bowie was fighting like a pro.
Yeah.
Ayla watched as he held his own, but he was still a child, and she could see that he was getting tired.
This was so funny because she wasn't actually fighting.
Yeah,
anymore.
she's just like watching.
She was like watching
and
the
like
battle the whole
commentating.
time.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. She moves to help Bowie, but Bryn beats her to the punch. She gets back into the fight, but can't help but watch Bryn and Bowie fight together. Bryn was the king's son. Like, he was trained by the best, and it showed. They're winning. The anarchists are fleeing, and Bryn scolds Ayla for stepping in front of a flying dagger. He's like, why the fuck did you do that? That was very
reckless.
Very reckless. Splinter says to Ayla that his trust in her is reward enough for saving his life. It's funny.
Good.
Then he's like, let's get a drink. But something was wrong. Suddenly he yells to everyone to drop. Ayla does. She hoped everyone else did too because there was an explosion and then more than 15 new attackers come into the room.
Damn.
But they weren't anarchists. They were the steward's guard, dressed in their blood orange cloaks and wearing helmets. And quote, for the first time in more than a decade, there were Dunwin soldiers in Anarchist Underground. That's crazy. They had to have snuck down there sometimes to like drink and prostitutes and stuff.
I stand by that. I stand by the
They,
fact
like,
that
wear
people
different
cross the
clothes.
border just for like random, not like murder, but like
No, just,
definitely
like-
for like miscellaneous, like
things that you can get away with, like black market kind of things.
Exactly. Maybe card games.
Miscellaneous is black market stuff.
Gambling.
Gumbling and gambling.
Yeah. So maybe like the best like bar fights are down there.
I bet. They gotta be.
I'm just saying.
She fights the guard, and then Nuala throws 2 Molotov cocktails into the room, setting everything on fire. Things aren't looking great. Dagny and Laz look unconscious, as does Bryn. Bowie calls out for him. He's like, Slate. And he's panicked. An anarchist grabs a hold of Bowie and says, Araxa said this is where you'd end up.
No.
Bowie says, this is a trap. Araxa set us up. And the man that threw the dagger was on Grey Dream. And that was obvious when when they described him throwing it.
It wasn't.
Dagger.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
It wasn't obvious, but he was like, he threw it and then was just like this until he died.
That's true. That's literally until he died.
Just, like,
He had like
froze
no
until he
fight.
died. Yeah.
I thought he was just so scared of Slate or
maybe.
not of Splinter, and he thought like, oh, I'm gonna die. I'm
just
gonna
like-
die. He just was like, whatever.
Let
this
it
is
happen.
how I die. My arm outstretched.
The man holding Bowie is about to slit his throat, and Ayla panics and runs toward him. But Bowie has already stabbed him with a spring-loaded knife attached to his forearm, which is what he was tinkering with earlier when Ayla met him. Remember, he was like tinkering something in the corner.
He's a smart boy.
I love Bowie so much. Bryn comes limping toward them, and he and Bowie tease each other, happy to have won the fight. Bryn pushes back Bowie's hair to check on a cut so tenderly it startles Ayla. Their relationship is so
interesting.
Yeah, Bowie and Bryn.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
haven't seen a relationship like that in like any of the books we've read.
Like a father-son type vibe,
Yeah, or, like,
or like a
brother, yeah.
Yeah.
Bowie then tells Splinter, this was a setup. Araxa is at our warehouse right now, stealing everything, probably. Splinter tells Dagny and Nuala to get to the warehouse. Everyone else stays to clean up. Why do they have to clean up? Like, to hide their tracks?
I don't know, actually.
Find your clean up.
That's a great question.
Then an anarchist who was previously knocked out was up and running, and Splinter sends Ayla after him, and so she chases after him. She follows him through the streets and to a cliff's edge. He looked back at her, and she recognized him as one of her soldiers, barely 19. What was he doing here? Then he spreads his arms and falls backward off the cliff into the chasm. Ayla's nickname is the Reaper of Dunwald, and she really feels like she brings death to anyone near her. Chapter 9. Ayla is taking a bath thinking about the soldier launching himself off the cliff. She submerges herself and wonders why Huntley had sent soldiers into Underground.
Yeah.
She feels guilty about the soldier she killed in the Devil's Tongue. Then all of a sudden, Bryn rips her out of the bathtub. And like she's naked, and she's like, well, nakedness doesn't really bother me because like the military
Yeah, that does make sense.
and all
though.
that, et cetera, et cetera. But she's like, but still, like, what the fuck? But Bryn is mad. He thought that she was trying to drown herself. Then he's like, stop trying to die. Like, I'm like really interested in you.
Yeah, but
At the
she's like,
moment.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Why does he care?
Yeah.
Probably nothing.
Of course, yeah.
It's nothing. This is nothing.
Then he goes to the other side of the privacy screen, and she fantasizes about revenge killing him. Every time something like that happens, I'm like, she wants to kiss him. She's like, no, it's always like her stabbing him.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, but then like he shows he's very obviously likes her, and she's literally like, probably nothing. Like he's a womanizer.
Yeah, it probably means nothing. Don't look into it.
let's just never look into this.
But I guess Bryn is there to tell her that Splinter is not happy. Araxa had cleaned them out. The warehouse was empty. Their 12 barrels of product gone. Bryn said things could be worse, though. Nuala had good timing with the Molotov cocktails, and that stirred something for Ayla. She realizes that those Dunwald soldiers who were in the underground were there at Huntley's behest. They weren't rogue. They were ordered there. And like, who could possibly know at this point? Why?
Right.
She decides to leave and threatens Bryn with a knife not to tell anyone. She wanted to kill him, but her self-control won. There was something she needed to do. So she goes back to the Devil's Tongue, hoping to run into someone of Araxa's clan. She does find someone there, and she pins him to the wall with her dagger, like dagger through the shoulder, pinned to the wall, and she demands to know where Splinter's product is. She has some good banter with the bad guys, too, because he's disgusting, and she's like, oh, and he says that he likes it rough, and she's like, so do I. You can talk, or I'll start removing pieces of you. I love her like bad guy banter.
I do too.
It's so fun. She's torturing him, and he tells her where the product is hidden in a warehouse by a road with a red door, but it'll be gone by morning. She turns around to leave, but there's two goons blocking her path. Then the pinned guy behind her gets her into a headlock. Chapter 10. The goons start groping her and tearing her clothes. She freezes, much to her confusion. She's like, why can't I fight them? Because they're like groping her, like,
yeah. I'll be honest, like this did shock me a little bit that she did freeze.
That she froze. Yeah,
only because I would assume, being in like the military, being a commander or whatever, that I would have assumed that something like this might have already happened.
Right.
And it's clear that maybe it probably didn't.
It didn't. Yeah.
And that did shock me.
Yeah, and
a
it
little
shocked
bit.
her too into freezing.
Right. I'm just shocked it's never like this sort of thing has never happened. Like that no one's ever advanced on her unwillingly before.
Yeah.
You know,
It's tough. Then someone comes to her rescue and pulls the man off her. The man that was holding her from behind pushes her away and runs to escape. But Ayla is angry now, and she's able to move. She catches him and stabs him in the throat. It hits her in this moment with violent clarity what this man would have done to her.
yeah.
She watches him grasp for air and stabs him in the chest 3 times, cutting herself on the blade because there's no like hilt.
Yeah.
Hilt. I feel like I have a stutter sometimes.
Me too.
And that's how it manifests. And she goes for a 4th when Bryn catches her hand. Quote, Ayla's head swam dangerously, and for a moment she was glad of his hand holding her up. She felt strangely distant, lightheaded. The part of her brain that was sharp enough to think clearly recognized that she was probably going into shock, which would almost be funny if she could stop thinking about the giant man's hands groping her body. Revulsion shuddered through her, and a fresh wave of vertigo threatened to drive her to the floor. I thought that was just really good imagery.
Yeah, I
She's
do too.
shook.
This was interesting to have a hero-ish type character, like a protagonist that I feel like so far when we've seen protagonists like this, they are always like invincible in a way. Like they could take on 15, 20 people easily if with one small dagger type thing.
No problem.
And this is interesting to me because like she's labeled as the Reaper of Dunwyn. Her like reputation, she like single-handedly like saved Dunwyn in a war. Like she has, you know, she's viewed as probably like this untouchable figure in the way that she fights. When she fights, it's like on another level, people are absolutely in awe. Yeah. But then like we reach some of these situations where like she does have a limit, and it feels so strange because we really honestly like, and we've met characters with these types of reputations, they have not had really any kind of limit. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And she has like moments of PTSD, so that's like something. And then like this, freezing at something.
She's very real.
Yes.
I kind of vibe
humanizes her. Yeah. Yes, I like that. She snaps at Bryn because like he had just like stopped her from stabbing him. She snaps at him. He backs off and she asks what he's doing here. And he said that she told him not to tell anyone she was leaving, but not that he couldn't follow. And he's glad that he did. She takes off again and he again follows. They bicker and Bryn laughs, and it triggers Ayla to laugh as well. She notes, though, that he didn't kill any of those men. Like, question mark, like, what's up with that? Yeah. He claims he's not stupid enough to make trouble with Araxa's gang. He claims that. And she's like, oh, okay. BT Dub, who is Araxa, Loren? What's up with that? Bryn says he's a snake that steals other people's things and turns around and sells them, but he's never messed with Splinter before. They reach the warehouse with the red door, and she asks Bryn, why are you still here? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are your motives right now? He says, he's like, I got a question of my own. And then he says, you didn't expose yourself quite enough in the washroom, in my opinion.
And that's not a question?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, it was, I said that. And okay. Yeah. Which is not a question, one. And two is insane considering the fate that he just saved her from.
But, I didn't even think. I didn't even
just
think
like
about
inserted
that.
Like right in the middle there.
Oh, interesting.
But then he did ask her, why do you think Huntley disbanded the army? Which had apparently happened 2 days ago, and Ayla had not known about this. Apparently, Bowie had gathered that info. He's a little spy master.
I love him.
But it makes sense to Ayla why the soldier jumped off the cliff. He was in the underground for the same reason as Ayla. Right? Does that make sense? So he was in the army. He got like discharged dishonorably, probably. And he's like, I have nowhere else to go. Went to underground.
Who is this?
The soldier that she chased off the cliff.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like all of them don't have a purpose anymore.
Yeah.
No one has. That sucks. We know from firsthand experience when you don't have a purpose,
it's not good. You got to find it.
You have to find a purpose.
You need a purpose.
Oh. That's also very niche.
Bridgerton.
When we're literally referencing our own podcast,
like 16
that's an
weeks
issue.
Worth
that's
of niche.
Crazy. Yeah.
No, but that was a good one. That's funny. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. You better listen to all our episodes. Okay.
You better.
They go into the warehouse and it's empty. Bryn makes fun of Ayla for not being able to torture the truth out of a man when he grabs her around the waist and mouth and says, someone is here. And she can see it too. He lets her go and Ayla moves to attack the stranger, but it turns out to be Bowie. They're all like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing
They're like here? That Spider-Man sketch of everyone pointing at each other.
Bowie tells them this place isn't abandoned and points to a staircase. Ayla finds a secret room, and this room was in working order. And there were 3 barrels of product left, and they could see like the spots where the other ones were. She pries the lid off of a barrel, assuming that it's liquor, but her senses are assaulted, and Bryn tells her that it's Grey Dream. She shuddered, remembering what the barkeeper had said. Quote, one mouthful of this stuff, and anyone can make you do whatever they like. They hear voices and climb up to the gangway to hide, and I assume the gangway is just like in the rafters.
Yeah.
Up in the ceiling area.
Probably.
2 people wearing the orange cloaks of Huntley's guard come in to collect the barrels. Ayla is shocked. Like, Huntley is behind this? What is going on?
But I guess this when they were like, when they attacked the bar, Devil's Tongue.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I guessed Huntley was crooked actually the second that they discharged.
Yeah, she's like, you're fired, and it's a reward. Bye.
Yeah.
That moment. Yeah,
I knew she was. I didn't know how yet.
Right, and I still really.
But I knew she was
confused.
crooked. Yeah, that's fair.
Bowie is scared and nervous that they're taking the gray dream. He wants to stop them. Bryn said they already got it. Let's get out of here. But Bowie is panicking and says, you can make anyone do anything you want with all that drug. We need to stop them. He says they can light the barrels on fire and they'll explode. He takes off running and runs into Dagny outside. Bowie and Dagny start fighting, and Bryn has to pry Bowie off of him. Bryn asks Dagny what he's doing here, and he kicks the door to the carriage he's standing in front of open, and inside is Splinter. And he has somebody like disarmed in front of him.
Yeah.
He like had just like knocked somebody out, and they're all like, shit. Because they didn't want to run into Splinter.
No.
Chapter 11. Back at the house, Splinter is screaming at Ayla, Bowie, and Bryn like Mrs. Weasley to Fred and George after they steal the Ford Anglia to kidnap Harry. You know, car's gone, no note.
Yeah.
You could have been seen. You could have been killed. What were you going to say?
I'll say what I want to wait until after you say what you
Okay.
said.
Splinter is waiting for a compelling explanation. Bryn was silent and Splinter punches him in the gut. Bowie asks him to stop and lies and says they were following me and that he was looking for what Araxa stole. Splinter doesn't care. Bowie disobeyed orders. He tells him he has to start earning his trust back and that he has a task for him in the morning. Bowie glances at Bryn fleetingly and Splinter hits him across the face for it. It's disgusting. They like just, everybody just like beats Bowie. Throughout this whole first half, 9-year-old
boy. Yeah, it's terrible.
It is. Bowie is allowed to leave, and Bryn tells Splinter that he should kick Bowie out. He's more trouble than he's worth, etc. Like talking shit about Bowie. I think just to like.
Yeah, they do explain it later.
They do.
They do.
Okay, I don't. That's probably in your chapters. I mean, it makes
I don't remember
sense
what chapter, but they definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is in my chapter.
Okay.
It is in my chapter.
Then Splinter grabs Ayla by the chin and says, "And you," he says, "quote, and you. I'm pretty sure that pretty face of yours can be useful, but there's plenty I can do without damaging you permanently." Which, like, what horrible. Do we, like, there's so many insane insinuations behind it. I can't even go there.
But what's so crazy to me is, like, he's mad at them for leaving the house.
For leaving the house.
Which I don't remember him ever saying that they can't leave the house.
Okay, yeah, I don't ever really either. But, I mean, when Ayla left after the bathtub incident, she's like, don't tell anyone. Because so it did seem like there was
maybe they
like
did say something off page, but like they never said anything on page.
I don't remember either. It might be in there
about how they're not allowed to leave the house. And I think it's also kind of crazy what like he has these workers that he just like locks in his home,
right? Like why you're just like holding them captive, until you decide that you need to fight somebody.
Yeah, like what if they want to go drink and gamble? They can't. They're not allowed to. They're literally not allowed to leave the house.
Right?
How did Dagny end up going to a bar fight then? How did everyone end up at a bar fight?
I don't know, because Bryn was there too, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I'm sure that was like just like
I think all of his people were there.
He's like, let's go drinking. You deserve this. And Ailey just doesn't understand that.
That is so interesting because they never said anything. I'd be like, why are you punishing? I didn't know we couldn't leave the house.
Like, my bad.
I didn't know the rules.
Just out for a drink.
Yeah.
Bryn tells Splinter that he'll take both his and Ayla's punishments, and her jaw drops. Like, why would he do this? But that's not how Splinter operates. He takes a hot poker and puts it against the cut on Ayla's palm. And she almost passes out from the pain, and he dismisses her. And he's like, you're welcome for taking care of your cut, for cauterizing that. He's
like, yeah, now you don't have to sew that up, bitch. Get out.
She feels guilty, and she leaves and feels guilty that she's not staying to help Bryn, but decides against it and heads to her room. She wakes up with the urge to fight.
Of course.
She got up,
about her.
She got up, got dressed, and absent-mindedly headed for the training room. She just wanted to stop thinking. She ran into Bryn, and he asked if she was there for the show. She could hear voices and was curious, so she followed Bryn to the subterranean space, as they always say that. Subterranean area. Splinter, Bowie, and Dagny were in the training room with the anarchist that Splinter knocked unconscious from the night before, and he was tied to a chair. Bowie seemed to just be there the same way that Ayla and Bryn were. Splinter says, quote, "He's going to sing like a bird, aren't you, friend?" That was like all over.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
That was
Haunting
Adeline
Adeline.
a lot. I hated it. I
Oh,
didn't like
Little
it.
Bird. But that was more of a. I
That
don't
was,
mind
like,
this
more
one because it's
towards-
more of a violent connotation.
Yeah.
I think it works on a more violent connotation. I think it doesn't. It's very cringe when it's in a sexual.
It's just funny to see it like very close to each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was only 2 books ago. He asks the man where the barrels are, and of course he refuses to say anything, and he tries to make Bowie do the torturing by pressing a knife into his hand, but Bowie says he already knows where the barrels are. They're headed to Niall. Splinter asks, how do you know? And Bowie says, I just know, because he doesn't want to say the truth.
Yeah.
Then Dagny takes Bowie's hand with the dagger in it and shoves it into the prisoner's shoulder and then twists it. Poor Bowie is scared and horrified and trying to wrench his hand free. The prisoner can't take the pain and gives him the same story about the barrels being taken to Niall and tonight. Ayla is surprised that the barrels are going to Niall, but how did Bowie know? The prisoner indicates that this amount of Grey Dream will keep them happy financially, and they don't need a copy of the recipe because Splinter was worried that they're gonna like copy the recipe and like steal the product and like his business and whatever.
Yeah.
Business,
Undercut.
business,
yeah,
yeah.
of course.
That's confusing to Splinter, so he asks, who's paying you for this job? And the prisoner says he'll die before revealing that, and Splinter's like, as you wish, and orders Bowie to kill him, but he doesn't want to. He refuses point blank. Splinter tries again, and Bowie refuses again. So he has Dagny take his hand around the dagger again, and he's about to slit the prisoner's throat, and Bowie is panicky about it, but then the doorbell rings.
Oh, good.
Saved by the bell. Whew.
Thank God.
So Dagny just knocks the guy out and takes him away, and Bowie just stumbles from the room alone. That was the doorbell. And then Splinter's like, I'm not expecting company.
What the fuck?
Who's here? Ayla thinks about how killing someone is something you either had in your blood or you didn't, and it's clear Bowie is proficient at defending himself, but she doesn't think he's a killer. And he's 9 years old, and she gets frustrated at the thought that Splinter is trying to mold him into a killer. Bryn is casual when she turns to face him. He repeats that again, Bowie is more trouble than he's worth. Ayla asks him why he offered to take her punishment last night. It seems to me that he's deflecting when he says, I like the idea of you owing me a favor. She calls him a monster, and there's the full force and an unspoken accusation behind the words that he's a king killer.
Kingslayer.
Kingslayer.
And a kinslayer.
And a patricide, probably.
What does that mean?
There's like matricide, like when you kill your own mom.
Oh, shit.
Maybe it's, I don't know. I just made that up.
No, I like it. It's our word.
I'm sure it's real.
It's our word.
I'm almost 98% sure.
It's our word.
Whoa.
Patricide. So romantic.
We have our own word.
We have our own word.
Wow. They can hear footsteps, and Ayla goes back upstairs and looks outside to see Huntley Barnaby looking perfectly at home in the underground.
Ugh.
She was who rang the doorbell. She was who rang the doorbell. Splinter tells her he's unsure of their understanding after last night, but she's like, you have something that belongs to me. I need to search for it. And he seems to not even know what that is. And of course, she doesn't tell him. There's a silence, and he says, you have no power here. You need to keep your hands clean. And that's why you hired me in the first place. And we're like, she's like, oh, speaking of which, I have a new job for you. Double the pay. There was a silence. And then she says, I want you to kill Prince Bryn. And I was like, oh shit, he's right upstairs. What's going to happen? Because at this point, I forgot that no one else knew that he was Bryn.
And I for the life of me cannot seem to believe that Splinter does not know that Slate is Prince Bryn.
He might, right?
I feel like he 100% knows.
I guess it's possible he knows, but
maybe he hasn't mentioned anything to Bryn, but I feel like he knows.
We are in that time period where you can't just like Google someone's face. You know, like
sure,
Prince of Dunwald. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we can.
But
we
what did he
can
not
go
just
with
like
that
show
angle.
up in the underground the same way that Ayla kind of showed up in the underground?
Yeah, I'm sure. Splinter seems like somebody that doesn't ask too many questions. If it's gonna benefit
but he
him.
also is someone who, if he has someone that level
gonna
of
do his
importance, then
research.
he's gonna know
He's gonna
if he
know.
has someone that of that level of importance
And
in
I-
his possession.
And so at this point, I feel like it could go either way, and it sets it up to
I
go
agree.
either way.
Yeah,
So who
I
knows
agree.
what will happen?
Yeah, and we don't know. I do
don't
not
know either.
if he knows for sure.
I have no idea. But then Splinter says, consider it done. And I'm like, holy shit, run, Bryn, because I forgot that nobody knows that he's Bryn. It was crazy enough that Huntley called for Bryn's execution without a trial. And now this? What if she wanted him dead for another reason other than justice for the king? Next to her, Bryn was casual and nonchalant. It wouldn't be long before Splinter realized who he was, and Ayla felt like she needed to keep him alive. He deserved a fair trial. She pulls him back to the armory and shoves him against the wall and says, "It does." Oh, and then he's like, "It doesn't count as a favor to me if you initiate, sweetheart."
He loves her.
He reminds me of Sawyer from Lost. I'm sure you've never seen that.
No, I haven't.
Oh, but it's so good. He's just like all the gimmicky lines. Like,
yeah,
ugh.
I'm obsessed though.
No, I would fall for
this.
I was in love with Sawyer when I watched Lost. I'll tell you that.
I would fall for this.
I might.
I would have fallen for this already. We would have already had sex.
It's been like 20 hours. It hasn't even been a full day.
This already would have worked on me.
Quote, Ayla did what she'd been wanting to do ever since she'd first laid eyes on Bryn in the doorway of her bedroom upstairs. She punched him in the face.
Oh.
I thought she was going to kiss him. Oh my gosh. And she calls him Prince Bryn. And he's like, oh, so you do know who I am. I'm surprised you didn't kill me at the Devil's Tongue and make it look like an anarchist. He's like, what are you, weak or something? He calls her the Reaper of Dunwald, so he knows who she is as well.
So he did recognize her.
Mm-hmm. She punches him again, and he reaches for his dagger, and she presses a sword that she found nearby. Because they're in the armory. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
And against his throat, and begs him to pull the dagger. She's like, give me a reason.
Mm-hmm.
He surrendered. She forces him to move outside at knife point, where they witness Huntley being sent off by Dagny with enough supplies for a long trip in a nondescript carriage, like she was trying to be discreet. It wasn't like in the king's insignia or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. I agree.
Signet.
It was like the way that Penelope went to drop off her letters.
Yeah,
It was a hired hack.
A hired hack, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
She was
God.
in this
She's in a
world's
hired
version
hack.
of a hired hack. Yeah.
No one was okay, so there's that. No one was guarding Splinter's nearby carriage and horses, so she tells Bryn, you're driving. And he's like, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Oh.
She tells him he's not stupid enough to stay in a house with a man who's been commissioned to kill him, and she wants to find out why the steward wants Bryn dead so bad. And he's like, are you stupid? It's because I'm the one who killed King Sabin. Oh my gosh. He just like freely admitted it. Chapter 12.
Love.
Bryn is driving the horse carriage at knife point. He's not happy to leave Dunwald, probably.
Probably.
Probably. They're an hour outside of the city, and Ayla is getting restless, and she's bouncing her leg. Bryn holds her leg down with an, that's annoying, and she instinctively slashes at him with her blade, and it cuts his forearm. And he's like, what the fuck, fucking psycho? And she's so embarrassed. She just ignores him. She just like looks straight ahead.
She's
and like doesn't say a goddamn word about it.
This was literally the funniest scene.
It is so funny.
So far. It was fucking hilarious.
She was so
what
embarrassed.
the fuck, you little fucking psycho?
Oops. She's like, her cheeks are reddening.
So embarrassing. She's like, but it's PTSD though. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, of course. It was really funny though. Bryn asks again, why are we investigating Huntley's motives for wanting me dead? Like, hello. She explains that she should be bringing you to trial, not hiring anarchists to murder you discreetly. Something is off. Then he's like, how did you end up here? Why didn't you go home to your parents after the battle and retire? He's being very open, and she tells him that her parents died in Hiver during a raid when she was a baby. And he's like, what about a lover? And she's like, what the fuck? Why would you ask me that? What the fuck did you just say?
Because she's like thinking about Tomas.
Yeah.
And she's like, ugh.
I was so guilty.
This mother, she's like redirecting that anger directly for Bryn.
Yep. It was so funny.
It was so funny.
He's like, come on, you know what you look like. And he looks at her up and down, and she resists the urge to stab him again. He seems to resent that she's an orphaned Borderland soldier. And he's like, why do you, oh my God. He seems to resent that she's an orphaned Borderland soldier. And he's like, what are you protecting out in the wasteland? The ruins of a castle no one set foot in for 200 years? The one kingdom is gone. And she says, don't flatter yourself. No one on the border is fighting for you. We fight because if we don't, then King Marcus's mercenaries will kill us and take everything we have.
Duh.
Like, everyone knows that.
Literally everyone but you, apparently. The fucking king's son doesn't even know this. Let's go.
And he says there's no proof that Marcus is behind the border raids. And she scoffs and says, Marcus does it to extend Nielle's borders. Like, who else would claim that land? She thinks about how she was actually 16 when she joined up and had lied about her age. She tells him that her father was Niellan. Both of her parents were traveling merchants who worked across the border, and they met on the road. It's so interesting, her lineage.
It is.
She doesn't answer out loud, though, and has no idea why he's even asking. And she says to him, I'm not the enemy. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
I guess. That's it.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
Because he's
he's like pestering him.
I mean, I think it depends on what enemy means, because she was trying to take him in for a trial. But
yeah,
enemy, she's not like the enemy of Dunwald.
Yeah. And I
So-
think that's what he was getting at.
Yeah, maybe. Chapter 13.
I feel like he's very educated in some spots and then very naive. In
Oh my
a lot of
God.
other
He's like a
spots.
literal fucking dipshit in
Yeah.
others.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be like irritated. It would give me the
You know
ick.
nothing about
how
the world.
little he knows about like some of the things. I'd be
Yeah.
like, literally,
Give you
read
the ick.
Read a book. Have you read a book?
Have you literally read
One
read a
fucking
book?
book. Have you ever read a book? Can you read? Like at all?
You know nothing.
You
Jon
know
Snow.
Nothing, Jon Snow.
He's the Jon Snow.
Oh, I love that. Chapter, but also Jon Snow was like 16. He had like a kind of an excuse.
Yeah.
16, 17.
Was
he was
he?
young. Chapter 13. Bryn and Ayla are trailing Huntley's carriage a couple miles outside of the city. I think it's actually a couple hours.
Yeah.
It was a couple hours, but it was probably
They better
also
be
a
more
couple
than
miles.
more than a couple miles.
Sorry. I don't know why.
Because Ayla stabbed Bryn an hour into the ride.
You're right. Yeah. Okay, so
Doesn't matter.
Bryn and Ayla are trailing Huntley's carriage a couple hours outside of the city. They move through the trees of western villages. There are carts of travelers who haven't crossed the border since the war. They hear a muffled cry in the carriage in the back
Of their
like in their back carriage.
Oh.
I don't really understand how these things look, but like I'm assuming they're in the front carriage
Yeah.
part.
They're in outside
and then
of
the
it,
back is the carriage,
which is like covered, like a covered wagon.
yes. And they pull over to investigate, and guess who they find?
Is it Bowie? Yay, I love Bowie.
Sleeping.
He's napping.
Sleeping. Bryn wakes him up and is furious that he came along. So much so that Ayla steps between Bowie and Bryn, afraid that Bryn might hurt him, like strike him. But Bryn's like, I wouldn't hurt him. He's just a kid.
Like, what do you think of me?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Bowie shows them he grabbed a piece of paper from Huntley's carriage when her and Splinter were having like their meeting.
Good for him.
And it was directions written in Niellan to the city of Atiri.
I love that.
Is that how you say it?
I said a tear.
Ater. Okay. To the city of Ater.
Love that.
Okay. Ater. Okay.
I don't know. I don't really know.
It's strange though, because Huntley was the ambassador of Niel for like more than 2 decades.
Yeah.
And she should know the route to Ater
Yeah, what the
without
heck?
directions using back roads. Because it was literally like a back road.
It's the more
Body like a back road type shit.
reiterating the discreetness part.
Yeah. Also, I thought maybe they were for someone else. Like, what happens if like
Right.
he grabbed the directions? So like, what is she gonna follow?
How is she gonna know now?
I was like so confused.
Maybe she memorized them already.
Yeah, potentially. Bryn only cares about making sure that Bowie gets back to Dunwald, because if Splinter notices that he left, he will like hurt Bowie again.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But Bowie insists on going to Ater to such a degree that Bryn has no choice but to allow it. Bowie also reveals to Ayla that everyone in Splinter's gang are anarchists.
Wait, what?
Wait, also reveals to Ayla that everyone in Splinter's gang are anarchists. Oh, Bowie also, sorry.
Okay.
Bowie also reveals to Ayla that everyone in Splinter's gang of anarchists knows that she is Ayla Ryn, the Reaper of Dunwald.
This is big news, Ayla. We're all anarchists.
Everyone.
Everyone in Splinter's gang. I don't know if you knew that.
Dude, my reading comprehension skills are so low. It's
funny.
actually such an issue.
No, it's fine. It's funny. It's humor.
Okay.
That's comedy.
That's that right there. That's comedy. My face is so red. I can feel it.
Don't be embarrassed.
I can
It's comedy.
feel it.
It's
I'm
comedy.
so embarrassed.
Just ignore me.
Sorry.
My cheeks hurt too.
That's really funny. Ayla is shocked and a little embarrassed by this, of course. Yes. She's like, I've literally been like saying my name is Anna.
Everyone knew that she was Ayla.
Oh my God. Bryn also decides to come along willingly now, but he makes it clear that it's not about the safety of Dunwald. It's like mostly about Bowie. As they are riding in the carriage, Bowie is sitting in between Bryn and Ayla, and he asks Ayla about why she's the Reaper of Dunwald when she's obviously from Niel.
Yes.
They're speaking in Nielan also. So Bryn can't understand what they're saying, and it's driving him crazy.
And as like someone from the royal family, you think he'd be well versed in.
No, well, they even said that the king, that King Sabin only knew like basic commands.
Hire a tutor.
No, I would agree, but like if the king didn't even set himself to that standard, like there's no way he would have set his son. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Ayla tries to explain that she is a Borderlander, but Bowie is kind of being a little asshole. He's egging her on, telling her that her people hate her because she looks like a raider or because she likes to kill people so much, because that's what everyone says about the Reaper of Dunwald.
My gosh, he's clocking her.
She likes to kill people left, right, and center. Ayla ends up so annoyed that even Bryn can tell, and he boots Bowie to the carriage for a bit.
He's like, get out of here.
Yeah, and he, like, as Bowie gets out, he like steps on Bryn's feet. But Ayla is surprised because she notices how Bowie listens to Bryn most of the time. And, quote, a realization teased at the edge of her mind, not quite in reach.
What? Which one? Damn it.
Oh, that she likes Bryn, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I clocked
like,
that that was going to be a situation, like that they were going to end up like probably fucking at some point. The second that they said that he killed the king.
Oh, yeah, because like she fell in love with someone that she wasn't supposed to, like from the blurb.
Oh my God.
But
yeah,
I also
was like,
for a second, I was like, is it going to be Splinter?
But yeah, because you
I was
didn't know that
nervous
they
for
were
a
the
split
same.
second.
Oh, Splinter. I thought you
Yeah,
said.
not
I thought you were wondering that. Splinter.
Yeah,
that would be
like,
crazy.
An age gap. Like there was nothing about that.
Age gap.
I didn't see anything about age gap in the blurb.
Oh, that would be that would be absolutely insane.
I was so nervous.
That would be crazy. Could you? Oh no, I can't. Chapter 14. A day later, they reached a raggedy ass inn, but Ayla is relieved because she's not packed anything for this trip. Like they don't have like food or like
literally
clothes
nothing.
or like nothing. And they hadn't eaten or slept since they left. Bowie insists that this is a good place because they won't ask questions. So they hide their too nice carriage, like in the trees, and go inside
because like people will gotta be careful because there's a lot of
it's far too
thieves.
nice.
Yeah,
right. Almost immediately, they are greeted by a man, Walter, who is the owner of this establishment. And it's clear that he knows Bowie well. And he tells Ayla and Bryn to sit down and wait for some food. And then he tells Bowie to like get to work.
He's like, yo, so by the way, there's dishes that need to be cleaned.
Yeah. You need to start clearing these tables, buddy.
And he's like,
right now.
Okay.
And Bowie doesn't, he's like, okay.
He's like, that's fair.
He's like, yes, sir. Like apron on.
You're like, what's going on here?
It turns out Bowie has a debt that he will be working off while they're there. Walter helped Bowie at some point when he showed up from the forest during the war, and it's clear that he cares for the boy.
Emerged from the forest.
Literally, he says something like that, like he like came out from the forest.
I believe it.
And they're like, from the forest? And he's like, yeah, why are you asking so many questions?
He's such a mystery.
I love it. Bowie is serving tables while Bryn and Ayla eat. Bryn is not happy about the quality of food, so he decides he's going to gamble.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Before he goes, Ayla asks him why he's still on the trip with them. She's there to help her country. She's there to help her country that is so clearly in trouble. But he says it's not his country, it's Sabin's, and now it's Huntley's. You know, Ayla is mad at him for his lack of responsibility and duty, and she asks why he killed his father if he truly didn't want the throne. Did Splinter make him do it? He says, fair. Sweetheart, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you. You didn't say it
just
in an
like
accent.
Sawyer from Lost, I tell you. Please write in if you know what I mean.
Oh my God. Then he goes to gamble with a velvet pouch full of gold coins. She sat and watched Bowie and did notice that Bryn was gambling. And did notice while Bryn was gambling, he had a pretty blonde sitting on his lap.
Oh, yeah.
Which did annoy her.
Yeah.
Later in the night, Ayla sees Bowie and Walter go into the back of the inn and she decides to follow them.
I love her.
She sees Walter and Bowie standing over a cauldron stirring some sort of concoction.
I was like, is this it? Is this like a potion? Is this magic?
Oh my God, I thought it was magic too.
Yeah, but I don't think there is any magic, which is fine.
No, yeah,
it's
that's
fine,
totally
Nicole.
fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. They're discussing whether or not this batch will work and how many vials of it Bowie will be taking. Walter then asks Bowie to stay with him and stay out of the anarchist craziness.
Yeah, like stay here, work.
Yeah. I'll take care of you. Like you can work off your debt. But Bowie says that he isn't safe anywhere. Much later at night, Ayla is sleeping in their room. Bryn has fallen asleep on the only bed, so Ayla is literally sleeping on the floor. Like,
so rude.
Chivalry is actually
so
in the
dead.
dust.
But she's like, actually don't mind because I'm used to sleeping like this because of the war.
Yeah, but she's like trying to rationalize it, and I'd be like literally so angry.
Oh my God. That would be it. I'd be like, I guess he's not the one for me.
No, this
Feelings
would give ick.
Quenched.
Ick. Yeah, quenched. I don't want to kiss him anymore. She heard a creak and woke up to find Bowie sneaking out. She followed him and saw him at the foot of the stairs in front of a fireplace where there was a woman sitting in a chair with another naked woman, like half naked woman on
This
her
part
lap.
is wild.
I know.
Yeah.
And apparently this woman, not the one that was naked, but the one that had the naked lady sitting on her, is Araxa Loren.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. They have this like fun little like back and forth with Bowie asking about where Splinter's drugs are and Araxa threatening him and then him threatening her. Bowie implies that he knows something that might hurt her business or threaten her life. And then he asks if she has proof of something. And she shows him a piece of paper. Oh, then wait. Then he asks if she has proof of like whatever
she's talking about.
Yeah, whatever is going on. Like honestly, the situation's very vague and it's kind of confusing. But
we're not supposed to know. That's why it's so vague.
It makes sense when you're reading the conversation, but it's hard to kind of summarize.
Yeah.
But she shows him a piece of paper that terrifies Bowie so much that he doesn't even speak the rest of their interaction. Then she threatens him one more time, telling him that if he ruins her business, that she will come for him. And then she leaves. Ayla sneaks back to the room
Stressy.
before Bowie is able to get back. And his panicked breathing was loud enough that she could hear it until she fell asleep.
Oh my God.
He was like rattled by whatever
panicked,
Araxa showed him. The next day, when they go to leave, they find their carriage has been raided and it's completely unusable.
There's like 4 wheels missing.
Yeah.
Out of the 8 wheels. Did they have 2 carriages? They only have 1.
No, so there's
like 3 out of the 4 wheels that are gone.
So they decide to travel on horseback, which Ayla is actually she prefers.
Yeah.
Bowie is annoyed because he wants to ride on his own, but Ayla refuses to ride with Bryn. And he makes some like sexual joke at her, as he's wont to do.
Oh, he does. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before they leave, Walter comes to the stables to see them off. He tells Bowie that he is calling off Bowie's debt, and he tells Bowie that he hopes he comes back to visit again. It's all like very warm.
It's
is.
Very
sweet.
I actually really loved and enjoyed Walter's character for the brief time that we got him. He was like so jovial.
I agree.
He was like Hodor if Hodor had his mind.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Bowie is gobsmacked by this, but Ayla catches a glimpse of a velvet pouch peeking out of Walter's back pocket. Ooh. And the velvet pouch was full of gold coins, and it was Bryn's.
Insinuating that Bryn had paid him off.
It had paid off his debt.
So nice.
And Ayla says, a single bright flare in her heart that she didn't understand. Like this, it initiated a single
just happened to me too.
Bright flare in her heart she didn't understand. And I was like, oh, yeah, this would have reeled me back into bitch. I understand.
What was
completely.
it earlier? The bed thing.
Bed thing.
You just made up for it.
That would have like pushed me out. This would have brought me right back in.
Yeah, I just made up for it.
Actually, honestly, him looking the way
that
he
does.
looks.
Yeah.
We're
good.
Yeah.
Green light.
I've seen what I needed to see. Let's find a bedroom. That's horrible.
I love it. It's funny. We're in Ayla's mind.
Yeah, we're I mean, this is not Ayla's mind.
Half of ourselves are in her head and we're half her.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is.
Yeah, my horny part is in her head, apparently. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Chapter 15. Bryn, Ayla, and Bowie are riding on the main road to Niel when Bowie steers them off to a side road. The mist and like fog was so prominent that Ayla would have missed it had she been on her own.
Yeah.
It made the forest bare. Oh, it made the forest that was bare. It made the forest of bare trees they were riding through very ominous.
Ooh, it's good imagery.
Bowie seemed to be particularly on edge during this ride. At one point, they see a figure in the distance, and as they approach, Ayla noticed that the man, is wearing Dunwald military attire.
Oh, yeah.
She's confused because all of the soldiers who survived the war were accounted for before they headed back to Dunwald. She felt responsible for this man's well-being, so she jumped off her horse to make sure that he was okay. He seemed out of it and said that Niel had let him go. When Bowie and Bryn jumped off their horses to see what was going on and to help Ayla if needed, they realized that the man was on Grey Dream.
Oh, yeah.
The man noticed Bowie then and noticed that he was Nielan. And so he became very agitated and went to attack Bowie.
Makes sense.
But Bryn knocked him out before he could do anything. But the encounter really shook Bowie up really bad.
Because he knows something we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He insisted that the situation was his fault. Oh. And they were like, what the fuck?
9-year-old, so much weight on his shoulders.
I know, I feel bad. Later that evening, they camped out and made a fire. While Bryn was tending to the horses, Ayla decided to check in on Bowie. Bowie was defensive when she was checking in and saying that she isn't better than Bryn. She's an anarchist just like them.
Yeah.
He said that she doesn't know Bryn. He said that she doesn't know Bryn. He takes care of Bowie. He insists that Bryn has never killed anyone, which Ayla has. She kills Nielans, people like him.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
She tries to say something to make him understand, but she can't even get the words out. And Bowie tells her, when you first came to Splinter's house, Slate told me not to be afraid of you, even though you're a Dunwayan soldier.
Dunwayan.
Yeah. Even though you're a Dunwayan soldier.
Yeah.
He said people aren't really themselves when they're fighting a war or sometimes when they come back, aka PTSD.
He's so smart. Are you kidding me?
She is taken aback by this and was a little annoyed at Bryn for defending her, I guess. Yeah. So she asked if he was...
Because she's warring with herself. I'm supposed to hate him. He killed my surrogate dad.
Yeah.
But all these things that he's showing me, I don't hate him.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. She really needs a therapist.
Oh.
Poor girl. But she asked Bowie if he's sure that Bryn has never killed anyone before. He says that...
You sure about that?
Yeah. You sure about that?
Sure about that?
Yeah, literally. But Bowie's like, yeah, I'm for sure, because it was a condition he had when he decided to work for Splinter, that he would never kill anyone while working for Splinter. And she looks back and she's like, oh yeah, he didn't. He literally didn't kill anyone.
He didn't? Yeah. And he
not
said,
in the Devil's Tongue, not when those guys attacked me.
I wanted you to owe me a favor. Yeah.
Yeah. Splinter agreed because he had another skill set that Splinter could make use of. And Ayla was now double confused by this because she wasn't sure what other skill set that Bryn had.
Flirting?
And also... Oh, yeah. And also, there are plenty of other people that Splinter could have hired that would have killed for him.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. I still don't understand what that's about.
I still don't really either. This is where I thought for sure that Splinter knew who he was, who Slate was. Just then, Bryn came back, and Bryn and Bowie have a cute little back and forth that makes Bryn genuinely smile for the first time in Ayla's presence. Aww. And she's so taken aback by his beauty.
Oh, his smile is amazing.
She's like,
she's
oh
not
my
seen
God.
him smile yet.
She's like,
she's like, oh my God.
She's seen him smile, but it's always been calculated and like that little
fake cheeky smile, but not a genuine
but not
jovial smile. Not like that. Not like that.
What? That's my unfiltered smile. Leave me alone. That is so rude that you just made fun of my unfiltered smile.
I don't believe that someone would compliment you on that. He must have saw a different smile. There it is, right there.
Shit.
You're doing it right now.
I still want to fuck him. Anyways. Bryn offers yeah. Is it valid? Okay.
I think so.
Bryn offers to take the first shift, and as Ayla falls asleep, she's now questioning her initial judgments of Bryn a little bit.
Good, yeah.
Chapter 16. As they got closer to the city, the nights got colder. On one of the nights before they arrived to Ater, they built a fire, a big bonfire. No, it was just a regular fire.
Just like normal ass fire.
Yeah. Ayla asked Bowie if people in Niel like King Marcus, to which Bowie was like him? He's literally the king. Like, what do you mean like him? He's the king.
Everyone, I didn't know that there was options.
You can dislike your king? Bryn and Ayla then start kind of dissing on King Marcus, and Bowie freaks the fuck out.
Ooh.
He was not having that at all, and even Bryn was shocked by the reaction.
Interesting.
Ayla thinks about King Marcus and his son, who he accused Dunwyn of murdering. Is it Dunwyn or Dunwyn? Dunwyn.
Yeah,
sorry.
Dunwyn.
I don't know why I'm
Dunwyn.
freaking out. My brain is not
fine.
working.
We're doing our best, okay? That's all we can say.
That's all we can say. The boy had been 5, and everyone assumed that he was dead, but the body was never found. And this is when I thought, Bowie is King Marcus's son.
Yeah,
and
okay,
still
yeah,
think
that's
that.
so funny because last night is when you were texting me and you're like, texted me her 2 biggest theories. I'm like, that's literally all I had.
Yeah.
Those are my only 2 theories that I came up with.
Yeah.
And you came up with it too. I'm like, dang.
Thank you. No, it just
we're on
means
the
great
same
minds
page.
think alike. Yeah, we're on the same page. The Queen of Niel was Dunwyn, and she had trouble conceiving a child that made it past infancy. This was the son that they had was like the only one that had made it to like an age of like
survived.
not. Yeah.
Survived past infancy.
Survived past infancy.
Yeah.
Like made it past an age of infancy. And that son is now assumed dead.
Jeez.
Yeah. But when he was alive, he was heavily hidden. Like, because King Marcus was so
protective
of him. He didn't want people to come in and like kill him or whatever, like assassinate him.
That was the only heir to the throne.
He was the only heir to Niel.
That makes sense.
Bryn made another crude joke about how the king was desperate for an heir and probably was hooking up with people outside of wedlock, and Bowie snapped again.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of Yeah. Clear. I hope that's the answer.
What?
That he's King Marcus's
Yeah,
son.
well, why else would he be defending him like this?
Like he's like, what do you mean dislike the king? He's like, king is my dad.
Literally, he's my dad. He's not just the king, he's my dad.
Man, right?
I hope that's how we find out one time. Like he knows this whole time, and like at some point he's like, it's not just the king. He's my dad. And it's like a soap opera drama.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that. I want that too.
that'd be amazing.
Oh, I love that we haven't finished it yet.
I know. Bryn then apologizes to Bowie while showing him a magic trick with a coin, and all was forgiven. Oh. As they arrive in Ater, Ayla realized how beautiful the city was. It was similar to Dunwald, but instead of being backed up against the sea, which Dunwald is like a city like right on the cliff, on the sea.
Yeah.
But like Ater is like a city backed up to a mountain.
Ooh, I love it.
And they have like it's on a slope. They're both really pretty.
Okay, think Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I watched the movie not that long ago.
Oh, good.
Love that.
Love Lord of the Rings. Do you think we should read that series for this podcast?
Potentially. I think that'd be fun. Yeah.
I think we should do Game of Thrones too, like when we're like really like.
That one is going to be hard.
Yeah, I know. We might have to break it up into more episodes.
100%.
That might be really fun though.
That would be fun.
I might be into that idea.
I who doesn't like talking about incest?
Did not see that coming.
Ayla insists that she infiltrated the castle alone, as the other two would only slow her down.
Yeah.
But Bowie had the only way into the castle, and he wasn't going to let anyone go without him. So they all ended up going together. Very quick fight.
So cute.
They climbed through a drain until they reached a brick wall, and the only thing to do was go up. But Bryn tricked Bowie by hoisting Ayla up and then climbing up himself, leaving Bowie behind.
Rude.
He was just trying to keep him safe.
Yeah, but also you're leaving him alone in a foreign city.
That's true. Oh, but just in a drain.
Yeah, just in a drainage dish.
Just in a little drain. He told him to go back to the horses, and this infuriated Bowie. But Bryn only closes the wood opening that they climbed through. As they walked through the castle, it was dark and bare. It seemed strange that there wouldn't be any guards or workers in the castle. There was like literally no one.
What is going on?
Then 4 soldiers began walking up wearing the dark orange cloaks that the guards at Dunwald had been wearing.
Oh my gosh. In A tear?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But they weren't wearing helmets now. And they were all yelling.
Whoa. Shocking.
Shocking revelations. Bryn and Ayla listened in on their conversation and they spoke about how it was good to be home and they won't have to travel much longer, only until the powers that be have their way. And then they said that the steward had basically had her way since Dunwald was basically like King Sabin had never existed.
Yeah. Interesting.
Like she had wiped the place of King Sabin's
like influence. Wow.
Let's be clear, like really quick. Huntley and King Sabin have been like very close friends for like
20
probably
years.
More than that.
Okay. And then how long had it been before King Sabin died and Ayla returned from the war?
So she was at the war, I think, for like 8 months. And when she was shipped off, I think he died a month after she left.
Okay, so 7 months. So she came back and he had been dead for 7 months. In that time, she had wiped the kingdom from his influence.
Yeah.
Like what? Or of
his influence from the kingdom. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's
fast. Slay.
It makes you... you know,
let's move on.
This is like heavy. This is heavily women influenced, and I'm not mad about that.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about that aspect of it. Slay is crazy.
Slay the king, baby.
It's
Anyways, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm on the gray dream. This pissed off Ayla, and she went to go and try and fight the guards, but Bryn held her back. He tried to lead her out of another doorway from the guards, but they ran into a 15-year-old boy who was cleaning the floor. Ayla tried to pay him off for his silence, but the boy looked at her and said, "You think I'd betray my king for the coins of a Dunwald rat and a half-blood bitch?" Are you fucking kidding me?
I was like,
yeah. That was crazy.
Where's the soap? Put it in his mouth. Remember, like, the bar of soap in your mouth when you cut?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I got that.
Sorry. That sounded reference. A little less. Okay, sorry. Then he screamed, "Enemies in the castle, help!" at the top of his lungs to alert the soldiers. Enemies! It's not good. I've been scrubbing the floors. This is my way to a raise and like
moving on up, baby.
I'm getting a promotion next week. Ayla and Bryn ran, but only right back into the 4 men that they had been originally running from, the guards.
Oh shit.
Next thing they know, there were 6 others who heard the scream, surrounding them with crossbows.
Oh no.
They were trapped. The guards hit both Bryn and Ayla over the head with crossbows, and they were out cold. Ayla and Bryn woke up in a fighting cell, and they were locked in. Ayla tried to muscle her way out of the door, but it was no use. She asked Bryn then why Bryn paid Bowie's debt to Walter.
Yeah.
And then she asked about his relationship with Bowie and about how he pretends that he doesn't like Bowie in front of Splinter, so Splinter won't hurt Bowie to punish Bryn.
Okay. All right.
Then she asked...
you can't have friends inside of Splinter's house.
No.
Because he'll use it against you.
You can't leave the house. You can't have friends.
You can't even leave. No. Okay, it makes sense.
Then she asked about the night that he killed his father. Defeated, Bryn told her that he barely remembered the night. He remembers the feast and drinking a lot. He remembers the king retired and he followed them. Then he remembers the aftermath, his dagger in Sabin's chest, the guards being dead, and he fled because he was afraid. Then he remembers waking up in the underground. He had never thought about killing the king. He had never wanted him dead before that night.
Oh, man.
He said, "All I remember is that I looked down and there was blood on my hands." And Ayla said, "I know what that's like."
Oh.
Okay. So as soon as I heard this, theory number 2 popped into my head. Do you want to reveal it? Because we have the same theory.
Bryn was on Grey Dream when he killed King Sabin.
Someone snuck him Grey Dream.
Probably Huntley.
100%. I would agree. Or just someone that was like it had infiltrated. Yeah, someone.
Working for her.
Yeah.
Because he obviously is guilt-ridden about it. He doesn't know what to make of it.
Yeah,
he never even considered kill. Like
he
loved his father.
Considered it. Yeah. So, Yeah.
We don't know though. We haven't read the second part.
I think it's kind of crazy that no one else even thought of this. Like maybe even if that's not the outcome, even if that's not what was what happened, the fact that Ayla like isn't immediately like what?
Yeah, like bells ringing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how like prevalent Grey Dream is in their world. Like, did she know?
Seems really prevalent.
Did she know about it before going into Anarchist Underground?
No, I don't think she did.
So it's kind of like
sure, but it's also been like left, right, and center since she got to Anarchist Underground.
Yeah.
So I mean,
considering that, it has been the forefront of the conversation.
Yeah. So I'm curious. Interesting. Chapter 17. Ayla struggles against the door that was keeping them in to release some tension. She was confused about Bryn's admission and that night, and confused about him and whether he was lying or not. Quote, but what was the point of lying about his motive while telling the truth about the act itself? If he was trying to protect someone, why bother to tell the story at all? Then Huntley walked into the audience section of the fighting arena.
Huntley's there.
We find out during this intense conversation that Huntley more than likely sent the soldier after Ayla, the one that she killed initially, and that Huntley changed the law so that once labeled an anarchist, you forfeit the right to trial.
That's rude.
It's so rude.
You can't do that.
It's literally
you can't do that.
Not it. Ugh. And then she tells them that they are fighting in the pits, like fighting each other. Okay. Then she reveals that they are in the fighting pits to fight each other, presumably to the death, in front of a Nielan audience.
Yeah. And they're like,
yeah. Quote, King Saban's most celebrated warrior or his son, the prince. Let's see who's better.
ooh.
Ayla and Bryn refuse this until a new person walks into the fighting arena, and it's the steward of Niela. I don't know why. It's the steward of Niel, whose name is Alvin, and she's a woman. These names are so androgynous. I'm obsessed.
I was thinking Alvine.
Oh, it is Alvin.
I was thinking her name is pronounced Alvine.
It is Alvine. It is Alvine. Shit, it is Alvine. Okay, I'm saying that again because I'm going to ignore you if you
we don't
one
know.
more time.
We don't know.
No, it is Alvin. It can be Alvin. It could also be Alvin.
Yeah, it could. It could. That's what I'm saying. I don't know for sure. It has an E on it, so I said Alvine.
It's Alvin. It's 100% Alvin. It's not Alvin and the Chipmunks. That would be crazy, but I thought it was Alvin. Anyways, she is clearly of mixed race with Nielen and something else, and she confirms that she is an illegitimate child of King Marcus. And in his bad health, she is running the show in Niel.
Ooh, she is so interesting to me.
She is. She also like.
Did they describe her in this chapter?
Yeah, it's interesting. They did describe her, and I think it's kind of interesting because Ayla had to like mention that she's like a little plump.
Yeah, but I think
like
that's
not
so
in like a
interesting.
good way. She wasn't like, oh, she's a curvy goddess. She's like, she just like didn't lose the baby fat.
Right? Yeah, I was like, I read that 3 times.
Ayla.
I was like, am I saying that right?
Yeah,
it wasn't even baby fat. It was something
puppy fat.
Yeah,
it was.
You remembered?
I did remember.
Seared into your
pretty
brain.
quickly. Yeah. Huntley and Alvine are in on this together, and Ayla and Bryn are thinking the same thing, that Alvine killed Marcus's son in order to take over Niel's throne.
Okay, I could see that.
The situation is bad, really bad, and they don't have a way out. Alvine and Huntley push them to fight as the audience fills into the arena. They threaten Ayla's life in order to get Bryn to even pick up a sword. Damn. Then they fight, more so to give them time to figure out what to do, and it's all just like a big show.
Yeah.
That is until the PTSD kicks in for Ayla, and she almost lands a killing blow on Bryn.
Oh my God, she does.
He calls her name and snaps her out of it before she can do any damage. But in his attempt to parry her blow, he nicks her side, which he's like really guilty. He feels awful about. All of a sudden, the crowd starts to scream in panic, and a cloud of smoke fills the arena. A fire had broken out, and everyone in the audience rushes to find a way out before getting toasted.
It sounded like in The Uglies when they don't take death that seriously. Getting toasted. Bryn and Ayla tried for the door again while everyone was distracted, but the door didn't budge. They looked around frantically, and right as it seemed all hope was lost, the door to the cage opened and Bowie steps in. Yes, dude. I was like, who? Oh,
King-
yeah. Bowie's
King-
out there.
King Bowie.
Yeah. Bowie for king.
Bowie.
For-
I would vote.
Wait. Okay, so Bowie is King Marcus's son, and Bryn is also up for the
you
throne.
didn't think about this?
I was like,
If they both end up with the throne by the end of this, they have peace in
I
Niall
think one of them.
and
I think
Dunwald.
one of them is going to be king, and they're gonna join. They're gonna remake the
To
one
one kingdom. Which one?
I think probably Bryn is gonna be the one.
I think
king.
it'll be Bowie.
He's too young,
He's young, but I could see like Bryn being like,
and then he'll be like his closest ambassador, and they'll just run things together, like Aang and Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
the only reason I think
Spoilers.
it won't be Bryn is because he just like truly does not want the throne.
Yeah, but that's where the character development comes in.
No, that's fair. I would not mind that at all.
No, I wouldn't.
also-
Either version, I'm here for it.
I also wouldn't mind even if they both became respective kings
And
of
just,
their
like,
own
had
countries
peace.
and had peace. Yeah.
I love all the versions.
I like any of those ending scenarios. Chapter 18. Bowie leads them around the castle to another exit, saying that there was more than one way in and out. he knew
It's
all
just
of
not
them.
the sewer.
Yeah, it doesn't have to just be the drain. Yeah. Bryn was a bit rattled because he had hurt Ayla and he asked to see her cut, but it was only superficial. But they do have a tension-filled moment, and as he's checking on her, and Bowie has to snap them out of it.
He's like, whoa, I'm 9 years old.
Literally, he's like, literally stop trying to eye fuck each other right now. This is so annoying. They slide out of the waste chute and it drops them out of the castle walls.
Like they're in a waste chute.
Yeah.
So they're covered in poo-poo.
Poo-poo. I thought about that too, and they like never shower.
Yeah.
It's
And then that's it. And then they just move on.
they really just move on quickly.
Yeah.
I'll never get out of the whole like they'll be doing anything like really gross and grimy, and they just like will never talk about them showering, and they'll like be like doing something like fucking or kissing or something in scenes.
And you've been talking about this since ACOTAR.
Since ACOTAR. I can never get over it.
So it's always a thing.
Bryn went to go check on Bowie, but Bowie asked him if it was true, if he was really the Prince of Dunwald. Bryn tried and failed to explain himself, even looking to Ayla for help, but Bowie was too upset. Bowie says a bunch of really mean things to Bryn about why he killed his father.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He goes, quote, "Did you do it because your father hated you? I can see why. He knew you'd never be good enough to rule Dunwald. You weren't even good enough to lick the mud off his boots. Not that you can do that now anyway, because like he's dead."
Dude.
When Bowie gets in these moods and he like starts attacking people, like it's literally
it's to the
like
core.
It's I would never. I would be in his good graces
I'd
every
be scared
second
of him,
the day.
Like, do not
Please
come at me.
Don't clock
It's like
me.
how I know I will never go to that restaurant where they like write mean things about you because I can't handle it.
It would be far, far, far too much,
Right?
dude.
Don't say anything. Please.
Could you imagine if you were just having like a really, just like one little bad day or like a really bad day and like, oh my God, no, absolutely not.
No, yeah.
Bryn begs him to stop, knowing the words were triggering their deep rage inside of him, but Bowie continues to dig in at Bryn.
Oh my gosh.
Finally, Bryn snaps and grabs Bowie, and it seems as if Bryn is going to strike Bowie, but he realizes the mistake before he did. Bowie curls up into a ball, angry and drained, and he falls asleep. Poor boy.
Poor boy.
Ayla and Bryn went to grab berries, like nearby, like to just eat or whatever.
Yeah,
And-
they're foraging.
Yeah, and after a while, Bryn leans against a tree, clearly rattled, and Ayla went to go check on him. She told him that Bowie was only angry and was taking his anger out the way a 9-year-old knows how.
He's literally 9. Like,
Yeah.
just give it some time.
A 9-year-old who clearly has had some like very
So much trauma.
peculiar upbringings.
Yeah.
Ayla is concerned that now that Bowie knows Bryn's identity, he might tell someone. He might tell Splinter. But Bryn denies this. He says even if he is being tortured for information, he would never give Bryn up.
Yeah.
He knows I'm the only person in his life who would tell him to save himself. That's why he'd protect me.
I don't fully understand it, but I am here for it.
I think it's really sweet.
It is.
Ayla insists that he needs to watch his back, and Bryn notes that she doesn't let people in. He says he trusted Huntley with the throne, and now with everything, he feels overwhelmed and unprepared. But he is the only one that can claim the throne, and he feels he will only make things worse. In an attempt to comfort Bryn, she finds herself urging to kiss him. And she does, and they make out for a while.
Oh my God.
And for a moment, she wants to fuck him like bad.
Oh, okay.
Like really bad. She's like, I want to give him everything. I want to give him this little pussy. Sorry. But then she sees the bloody sheets of Sabin's bed.
Oh, no.
And his hands that are roving all over her body turn red in her mind.
Yeah.
And she steps back. Just another moment of PTSD.
Just
really
another quick moment.
Yeah. He is shocked and a bit hurt, but it's like he can see what's in her mind, and he expresses his hurt for not knowing the last words that he said to his father, and the fear that he will be a disappointment. Ayla insists that he can still make Sabin proud, but he says, I'll never make him proud. He's dead. That's a direct quote.
Yeah, that was a good quote. Okay.
Yeah.
Chapter 19. They have been walking for 5 days along Niel's eastern border through thick vegetation from dawn to dusk. Bowie rarely acknowledging Ayla and ignoring Bryn's existence, and Bryn is frustrated. He doesn't know how to deal with people that disagree with him.
Poor Bryn.
And they haven't talked about the kiss, and Ayla is kind of bugging about it. Did it even mean anything to him? But she shouldn't be obsessing about a king killer. She satisfied her curiosity, and that's that. And that's the that on that. But she's struggling with her feelings still, because out here, it was easy to picture him as any other guy. Things were becoming blurry. Bryn keeps referring to his father as the king, and Ayla asked why. And he started talking about his relationship with his father and how Sabin wouldn't acknowledge Bryn as his son unless he started acting like a prince should, indicating that he was like out drinking and like gambling and using prostitutes or whatever.
Right.
And how different they are. Sabin was born to lead, and Bryn had never felt comfortable with the possibility of being king and being a leader. Ayla tells him, you're young, you have time to grow and learn. But the responsibility of the throne is his, and she wants them to go back and figure out what game Huntley is playing, and we'll figure it out from there. And she offers to help him for Bryn, not for the dead king. And he's like,
he's like,
because she knows how much like King Sabin meant to her.
It's so funny because like she seems to be so observant, but like, oh my God, he loves her.
Oh, from the moment like he saw her.
He must have. I'm guessing that he's gonna reveal that he's always liked her.
Oh, like even when they were back training?
When they were like training.
I would love that.
Because he's shown like signs of being protective of her or like interest from the second.
Okay, that would make so much sense because he did like from when she threw the dagger at the anarchist, or when she got in the way of the dagger that someone else threw us. Splinter,
right?
And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why would you step in front of that?"
My guess is even that he was watching over her when they knocked her out because he wanted to make sure that no one else came and like hurt her, like Laz.
Okay, yes, that makes so much sense.
Or like Dagny.
I hope that's true.
Yeah, I really feel like that's the case.
I hope so. At this point, Bowie disappears into the trees ahead, and when they catch up, Bowie is surrounded by 5 men, and one of them had his crossbow aimed at Bowie's face. And then he says casually, not many villages to raid in this part of the forest. Just so funny. Like he's got a crossbow in his face. The man with the crossbow says they don't need to raid villages anymore as their other business is taking off. And he says, quote, you wouldn't be here if you knew about that though, would you, Bowie? Shit. And Bryn says, friends of yours? And the bad guys laugh, and there's 12 men now. And the crossbow guy says, your friends don't know who raised you? Ayla is shocked. Like, was he raised by mercenaries? Like, what is happening? Like, every day there's like a new revelation about Bowie.
Bowie has lived 100 lives in one life. And what's funny too is they're all speaking Niellan.
And Bryn
only
understand.
Heard Bowie, that the guy said his name. And he was like, oh shit.
He knows how to read the room, yeah. True, yeah.
So that's so funny. I was Bryn's just like sitting there. And everyone's just like speaking gibberish basically.
Waiting for a moment to ask Ayla for a translation.
Yeah, he totally is too. Yeah.
The crossbow man orders his men to kill Ayla and Bryn. Bowie is begging the man not to. He calls him Talon. No, Talon, don't, please. Ayla and Bryn are immediately threatened with swords at their throats when a voice says, stop. It's their boss, and the voice was female and familiar, and it was Araxa Loren. Araxa and Bowie look like they're from different countries, but she can see something of him in Araxa's expression.
Oh, that like the teaching probably. He probably mimics her facial expression.
Yeah, because she like raised him.
Right.
Makes sense. Bowie is clearly terrified of her. She walks over to him, grabs his dagger out of his sheath, and tucks one of his curls behind his ears with it. Ayla is sick. Araxa says, didn't I tell you you'd get in trouble one day? She's speaking Niellan, which Bryn does not understand, but He can read the room and says, "Get the fuck away from him." And Araxa is delighted that Bowie is traveling with Dunwian friends. Oh, she could tell them stories about Bowie that would make their hair curl. I wonder what that means.
Yeah, me too.
Talon's...
Oh, curl is in the Ellen curl. I don't know what that... Sorry. Make their hair curl.
Oh.
I don't know.
I tried to put it together.
I'm really sorry.
I'm really sorry.
They can't make their hair curl because Neelans have curly hair.
Yeah, maybe.
So
is that it, Nicole?
No, it's probably not. Shit. I'm sorry. That was stupid.
It's okay.
I'm embarrassed.
Talon says they should just kill them all. His finger is on the trigger of the crossbow. And like a good villain, in a pleasant tone, Araxa says they should be invited back to camp for a drink. Like wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
And everyone laughed and laughed. They're tied up and they start walking. Ayla tells Bryn that was Araxa Loren. And then these people raised Bowie. And Bryn's like, I thought Araxa was a man. I didn't know. My first assumption that it was a woman when they're like Araxa, like back in Dunwald. But everyone kept saying he, so I believed it.
So I agree. And what's
yeah.
so incredible about this is like all the badass people in this book are all women.
I love that.
So we have Ayla, we have Araxa, who I don't love, but I love her position of power.
Right,
we have Huntley,
just
who
like
I don't love,
an
but I
Amarantha
love.
kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's just just a fuck ton of little Amaranthas running around.
Yeah.
With
so
Alvin,
interesting.
The
Alvin
Huntley,
of it all.
the Alvin of it all.
Yeah.
And then Araxa, cool. And that's crazy.
Yeah. Ayla thinks they have time to think of an escape. They probably won't die right away. Bryn tells her not to do anything stupid again. He doesn't want to see her get hurt, and he's like so super genuine. She dwells for a bit on how dire their situation is. They walk for hours, and Ayla is worried that they weren't blindfolded, because in real life, if you're kidnapped and not blindfolded, they're probably going to kill you.
Yeah, no, they're definitely going to kill you.
Yeah. They get to their destination, which was the ruins of Hiver Castle. And she thinks about how close she is to her home. There were rows of tents in the courtyard and burn barrels and mercenaries all over the place, like 40 men. They're led to the Great Hall, where Ayla spots the barrels of Grey Dream at the dais, where a throne would usually sit, and discreetly points it out to Bryn. She's like, check that out. Araxa tells Talon he can free Bowie, confident he won't make trouble. Like, that's crazy. He's like, he probably won't make trouble like in front of his friends. Just freeze him completely.
Yeah.
And as soon as his gag comes out, he says to Ayla and Bryn, don't touch anything she gives you. And he was rewarded with a punch to the gut. Talon tells Bowie that he's caused his gang a lot of trouble, but it's lucky that they have to increase the dose with every passing month, or we'd never have been paid. Bowie looks sick and horrified, and Talon continued with, the more he takes, the more he needs to keep him alive. Pity for him, but it's a boon for us. His little habit's making us rich, which we don't know what he's talking about right now.
Yeah.
He goes to punch Bowie again, and Bryn freaks out, saying, don't touch him again, you fucking coward. Then Araxa makes Talon stop. She finds the king's insignia on Ayla, which is not good, but lies. And Ayla says, she's like, oh, I bought that at a flea market for a copper after the king died. Like, it's just a tchotchke.
Yeah.
Araxa knows she's lying and threatens to cut out her tongue for it. Ayla says, okay, it's mine, which of course is the truth, but Araxa doesn't believe her because Bryn is the one that looks Dunwin. She pulls Bowie towards her, holds a knife to his finger, and asks him what Bryn's name is, his real name. Bowie doesn't budge and says it's Slate. And then Ayla recalls Bryn saying about Bowie, he would lie for me. I know him.
Yeah.
Which she didn't believe. She was like, I don't know if that's true. But here he is doing it.
Dude, he like refuses to kill people. Mm-hmm. Like he just doesn't just go around doing shit. Like I don't know why she thinks that he would.
Right. He's such an interesting character. Mm-hmm. She pushes the knife down, breaking the skin when Bryn confesses. And he says, you know who I am. And Araxa said, who would have thought so much royal blood would have ended up in our camp? Which is I think another clue.
Yes.
Another clue.
Thank you. I was thinking the same thing. And she has to know that Bowie is this king, the son's king, the king's son.
Yes. She chides Bowie for lying to her when she kept him alive and taught him how to fight and survive. She says with these three, she has a king's ransom, a new test subject, and an opportunity to teach Bowie a lesson. She orders Talon to take Bowie down to the pit. Bowie calls for Slate as he's hauled off, and Bryn says, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. Ayla's bindings are cut, and she's given a cup, and everything starts to make sense. Bryn threatens to kill Araxa if he makes her drink. Ayla knows she has no choice, and she drinks her first taste of Grey Dream, which is bright green and smells really bad.
Oh, it is bright green.
I actually don't know what color it is. Okay. Still.
Could have sworn it was gray.
No.
Maybe I'm lying.
If I remember, I will look it up. Okay. Quote. This is what she experienced. Quote. The world dipped and tilted. The colors around Ayla were too bright. The walls were melting, churning as she stared. There were sudden bursts of light, shooting towards her like arrows. She raised her arms protectively, expecting the light to burn as it made contact with her skin. Instead, it shimmered and faded. But she couldn't make out the voices. She could make out voices, but couldn't place them. They sounded low and lethargic, as if time itself had slowed. There were faces, too, but they weren't right. Skin bubbled and warped at odd angles, like insects were crawling under the surface. Yeah.
She developed face blindness.
I love how we bring it back.
To every other book. Yeah.
Ayla couldn't work out if she was spinning or maybe everything else was. She reached up with both hands to grasp her pounding head, but her fingers lengthened, undulating like grass in the wind. Everything whirled and flashed, and then blackness loomed and swallowed her. So, I mean, she was tripping really hard.
Yeah. That sounds like the biggest trip of life. Like, I've never heard anything like that.
That hard and so fast and so extreme. Yeah. Chapter 20. Bowie wakes up a groggy Ayla, and they are in an underground cavern. She can't remember a thing once the Grey Dream touched her lips. She demands Bowie to tell her what happened. Bowie tells her that Araxa only gave her the drug to test Splinter's batch and make sure it wouldn't kill the drinker. There are other people in the cavern, and when she takes a closer look, she can see that they are unmistakably Dunwald soldiers.
Yeah.
And she's like, holy shit, she's crushed. She thought that they were all executed by the Niellan army. But Bowie tells her that Araxa needs them to test the drugs. Then he tells her it's not for... These drugs are not for like common street people. Like they don't peddle them around in the streets and make money. It's for someone specific, and they don't want this person dead. Not yet, anyways.
Oh, so like the street drug Grey Dream, like it doesn't affect them the same way. So this one's harder stuff. Is that what they're saying?
No, what they're saying is she is being so diligent at testing the quality of this because it's for someone specific. Like
Gotcha.
If it was just for people on the street, she wouldn't care. She would
be
just sell
it. Got it.
Bryn is upstairs. Bowie thinks that Araxa won't kill him now that she knows who he is. They're in the pit. Bowie says they used to make him sleep here sometimes, which is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's all bruised up, but he's more hurt that they hurt Ayla because of him. And she's like, oh my God, it's not your fault. Like, you're a child. Like, literally nothing is your fault.
Yeah.
Bowie's not listening, though. He's now in awe that it worked.
Oh, yeah.
He had given her an antidote for the Grey Dream. She guesses that is what Walter was making for Bowie back at the inn, and that Bowie owed him for that and not like anything else.
Right.
And it becomes clear that he was saving the antidote for someone else, but he doesn't elaborate. He's frustrated and exhausted and can't think, and it really comes through on the page.
Doesn't he have 2 vials?
He had 2 vials.
So did he use both of the vials?
He must.
He must have. I was wondering this because I was like, if he used 1 vial, he still has another vial.
Right. Yeah, he must have.
Yeah.
Ayla tells him, no more secrets. If we want to get out of here, you need to tell me what you know. And he says, quote, I grew up in Araxa's gang. They used to make money by raiding towns across the border. Then Araxa and the others started bringing these barrels into the camp and carrying them out a few days later. They were stealing them from Anarchist Underground, taking them west. I wanted to know what was in them, and Araxa caught me looking. I thought she'd be angry, but instead she told me that it was Grey Dream and that she was getting paid a lot of money to smuggle it into Eter. She said she wanted to help me. And that's how he knew the secret passage into the castle. She puts it together then that Alvine is poisoning King Marcus with a Grey Dream to control him and run Niel.
Yeah.
Ooh, Alvine is so interesting.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. She guesses the vials he brought from Walter's Inn were for King Marcus. And he tells her he ran away from Araxa, met Walter, they tried to make a cure together, and Bowie thought if he could sneak the cure to Marcus, he would recover and stop Alvine.
Yeah.
Splinter had kept Bowie, though, when he ran into him because he was promising. And he had threatened to burn Walter's Inn to the ground if he had left. So that's why he stayed with Splinter. He had been looking to get out of Dunwald ever since he'd been taken in by Splinter. And he says he had to do something because he was the only one who knew about the King Marcus situation. She's like, I had to. Like, I'm the only one that knew.
Because he's my dad.
Yeah, potentially. Very, very likely.
Yeah, we don't know. But that is the guess.
Yeah. Bowie's like, anyway, we can get out of here now that you're awake. He takes out lockpicks from his sock. And she's like, of course you have lockpicks in your sock. And he's like, and a knife. And she's like, don't your shoes get uncomfortable? I think that's so funny. That was a funny joke. And he's like, yeah, but it's worth it.
He's more uncomfortable being locked up.
Yeah, exactly. He successfully picks the locks and tells Ayla he'll teach her how to do it too if they live, because there are 50 men outside. But she's like, no worries, I have a plan for that. Chapter 21. They poke their heads outside. Araxa and the men are milling about, eating, etc. And Bryn is curled up outside the warmth of Araxa's fire, bruised and bloody with his hands tied behind his back. And she's like, do I see his chest moving? I don't really know. She doesn't really know if he's alive.
Oh, and she's like a pain fills her that she's
oh my God.
Ugh, she hates it.
Yeah. They make a plan and Ayla takes a step outside. Quote, ideally, she wouldn't entrust a 9-year-old with this kind of responsibility, but she'd picked up a blade to defend her village when she was his age. Sometimes childhood had to wait, which is shitty. That sucks.
Yeah.
Before anyone could do much, she grabbed a wall sconce that had fire on it, like the ones that provide light for the hallways.
Yeah.
And she held it above a nearby barrel of Grey Dream. Araxa grabbed Bryn and pressed his sword against his neck. She says she'll cut his throat before Ayla can blow the barrels. But Bryn fights back, and by the way, he's not dead.
Good.
And rams his shoulder into Araxa. Ayla yells for Bowie, which this part was confusing because she barely notices him coming out and whipping a dagger. Then she drops the torch into the barrel of Grey Dream and dives back inside the doorway to the pit. The explosion was large and had blown a massive hole through the wall. Soldiers are screaming. Bowie's fine. She looks out at the carnage and spots Bryn hiding behind a detached wall, and he smiles at her and he says, quote, why do all of our plans involve setting things on fire? And it's like, this is weird. She cuts the rope from his hands, and she has a moment where she can't focus because they're touching. And he gently cups her face and asks if she's okay, but she's like just elsewhere, right here out in her mind. He was clearly so worried about her. She's lost in his eyes, his touch, and for a moment it was just the two of them. And then he asks again, are you all right? And she's like, I'm fine. And Bryn is so relieved. And also like, shit, Bowie. He runs to where he's hiding by the stairs to the pit, and Bryn is just as surprised to see the Dunwald soldiers. Ayla wants to take the soldiers with them, but they're addicted to Grey Dream, and they need it to live at this point, and they have to leave them. She is devastated. These people were under her command when they were captured, which has got to be just insane.
It makes me sad because I think about that young boy that was getting beat up in the bar earlier.
Oh, the little redhead boy that was getting hit on. Yeah.
But he's an addict, so he probably eventually is gonna die because of this.
And once you get too far into it, you need to keep drinking it.
But I don't think it takes that much to get too far into it. I don't think it takes months. I think it takes a couple of times.
Ooh, yeah.
A couple of doses.
That's scary.
Yeah.
She feels like a failure for leaving them, but knows she has to in order to get Bryn out alive, so he can take the throne of the Dunwald. As the rightful heir. There were bloody head wounds, broken limbs, and chunks of wood embedded in men's bodies. Bowie finds Araxa's arm by the fire. So she gone.
She gone.
Rest in distress. R.I.D.
Bye, bitch.
Bye.
But we did respect you. I can't.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Yep. There are survivors stirring around the perimeter. Bryn yells for Bowie, who is doing something they can't see near Araxa's body. Also, I was like, oh my God, Araxa just died? That's so crazy. But it is a standalone, so this story is going to be wrapped up really tightly.
No, that's fair. Mm-hmm. That's fair.
4 men are coming toward Ayla and Bryn, and she asks Bryn to get Bowie. She can take care of the 4 men. He's like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, I got it. You're kidding me? I'm the Reaper of Dunwald. It's really fine. So he goes, and she's like, boom, elbow break. Boom, throat slit. Bam. She made one of them stab the other. And then the last man decided to run away. She's like, go. And he does. And then Bryn is back by her side and asks, how does it feel to have men flee before you? And she says, Like the world is as it should be.
I love that.
I love that so much.
I love that.
Quote of the week.
See, this is the points where I'm like, oh my God, she's literally like, she's it. Like, this is it. Like, she's incredible. She's literally like invincible, like whatever. But then there are like moments, you know, where she
has her moments of weakness.
Where well, not even just moments where she just isn't able to do that. Like, where she stops. Like,
human moments.
Yeah. Maybe the crossbows are the things that, like, if she can probably take on probably 6 or 7 men at one time with swords. But if you start to get crossbows in there, long distance weaponry, it starts to get a little
tricky.
dicey. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
They start to run through the trees. Other mercenaries are on their tail. They run beside a rushing river that's too wide to cross and come to a waterfall. They need to jump, but Bowie is scared and he can't swim. He refuses to jump and would even rather go back to Arax's camp if he needed to figure out another way to escape. He's like, fine, I'll go back. I'll figure something else out. Bryn says, sorry, little man, that's not an option. And he grabs him by the waist and launches him off the rock. Ayla jumps right after. And she thinks, quote, the rush of pure adrenaline ignited like fire in her veins.
Oh, she loves that shit. She's a junkie. She's an adrenaline junkie.
Don't be confused.
No, well... you know.
She surfaces and sees Bryn surface with Bowie. They can still hear the shouts of the mercenaries, so they swim to an area that's concealed with thick vines and rocks and wait. And they're in like this cavern that's like super echoey. Like every move they make is just like so loud, but the waterfall hides all their noises. I thought that was really cool.
And they can't hear anything outside the waterfall, which is crazy.
It is crazy. So they just wait. They just wait for as long as they think they should. The rain gets worse, and I'm pretty sure they're treading water at this point.
Yeah.
Finally, they swim to shore. Bryn asks if Ayla is hurt, and she shook her head. He went to inspect Bowie, but Bowie shook him off agitatedly and started walking away. And just like walking, continued. Ayla says they need to keep moving. Araxa might be dead, but we still need to put distance between us. Bryn is clearly hurt that Bowie is upset. Ayla says he doesn't hate you. He's just a kid who doesn't know how he feels. And Bryn says, quote, everyone knows exactly how they feel about the Prince of Dunwald.
Oh,
we just get more and more clues that he's just like, no one understands me.
No one. I was on Grey Dream probably.
I just didn't know.
Well, the fact that he's so involved with Grey Dream and he hasn't put those two things together is honestly insane. Like the fact that no one.
Well, he had already been drinking a lot of alcohol, right? And if he had never had it before, I guess.
I feel like if he was drinking a lot of alcohol, it would be so easy for him. You only need like a mouthful,
right?
Like you don't need. It's not like you need like a whole glass,
right, just to dump it into his drink.
Yeah,
would have been easy to dose him.
Right.
Chapter 22. They climb a hill, and Ayla looks out over what was called the Bayou. She had spent 8 months here during the war, right? Like that was the entire war. I was like, or a battle. I'm not really sure. But I think it was
I'm actually kind of confused too. I think it was the entire war, which is crazy. That's a very, very, very short war.
Yeah. Which is like good for them.
Yeah. Well, you know, she's the Reaver of Dunwald.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, buts, or, you know.
Yeah. She gets a little PTSD, and Bowie notices and says, it happens to him sometimes too. Aww. And Bowie asks who she's angry at that she wants to fight all the time if it's not the Niellans. Because she already said, like, I don't hate Niellans. When she says she's not angry, he says, I thought we were telling truths now. But all she says is a recap of King Marcus's situation, how all he wanted was to avenge the death of his son he loved the most, but his daughter was pulling the strings. Absent-mindedly, Bowie says he doesn't think he loved his son the most, but then gives Ayla back her king's insignia, which he had taken from from Arax's dead body.
Yes.
Yeah. She feels a rush of affection towards him. It's all good now. Bryn finally crested the hill behind them, and he is not in good shape. She can tell that something is wrong and demands that he says what the hell is going on. Yeah. So he pulled up his jacket, and he has the cliche abdominal wound in his side.
Yeah, of course.
And it's a piece of wood from the explosion. And this piece of wood is the size, she said, of her knife. So I would imagine it's 8 to 12 inches. That's a big piece of wood.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's well above average for a knife.
It's above average.
It's well above average.
Well above average for a knife. That's all we're talking about. She's angry at him for not saying anything, and she feels sick. She wants to wipe the hurt away from him. He says it doesn't hurt, but he is moaning and groaning. Like he's clearly in pain.
Yeah.
She knows the basics of healing, but this wound is beyond her help. And it will kill him if they don't get help soon. Ayla had been intending to lead the mercenaries away from civilization. Ayla had been intending to lead the mercenaries away from civilization.
Yes,
but they're on the right path for a detour. She tells Bryn, they're a couple hours away. Can you make it? And he's like, away from where? And she says, Hiver, my home. Hiver.
Hiver, my home.
My home, Hiver. Chapter 23. This chapter starts with a flashback to when she was sparring with Huntley Bartamy, which we had talked about in the first few chapters.
Yeah.
They have a good spar, and eventually Huntley knocks the blade from Ayla's hand and says, I thought I'd met my match. The entire arena goes to its knees as King Sabin approaches. He stood before Ayla and said, that was something to behold. And then just to her, are you sure you should be here? Soldiers have to be 18. And she's like, do I fight like I belong here?
Oh.
He's amused and tells her she reminds him of her son. He has a similarly flexible approach to rules and asks her name. And then Huntley answered for her. Her name is Ayla Wren. I liked that little flashback because we get a little bit more details about their sparring. And the king is like, you remind me of my son. And she's like actively falling in love with him.
Oh.
I love that.
And he'll never see it because he's dead.
He died off page, so he might not be dead.
He's dead.
He's probably dead.
He's probably dead.
I was like, is Araxa really dead? I had to go back. I'm like,
I honestly felt like Araxa may make a comeback. But
Yeah,
I
but-
could be wrong.
I don't know. Bowie was like, he found that king's insignia on her, so I feel like maybe she really was dead.
And if she wasn't dead, like he probably would have noticed.
Yeah, she could have been unconscious. But
Well, because she was like under the rubble.
She's probably dead. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, flash forward. We're in the present. They're walking down the slope now. Bryn is slipping and stumbling. It's still raining. Ayla says that tens of thousands of people used to live here at Hiver and all around, and now there's only 100. So like the castle that they were just at, and from her home, like the little village that she's at, all of that was occupied with people.
One kingdom, basically.
Yeah.
One kingdom, literally. That's what it was called.
Yeah, and now there's only 100. That's crazy.
I don't even know a town that has only 100 people. I could not name a town with 100 people.
Yeah, it's like some very, very, very small, tiny towns in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Bowie slipped and fell, and it was a wonder to Ayla how he hadn't given in to his frustration and exhaustion because he's like pounding the ground, like on the verge of tears. It really comes through on the page. I think the writing is really good.
I agree.
Bryn turned to go help him up when the ground shifts beneath Ayla's feet and she falls, catching herself in the soil with her knife. Bryn fell too, and he caught a root with one hand and Bowie with the other. They were all dangling in a space over a wide pit, and 6 feet below them were tightly packed, sharp wooden spikes pointing up at them, like
a
spike pit.
Like a spike pit.
Like when Feyre made the spike pit for the Maiden Garden worm.
Yes. Oh my God.
Did it not remind you of that?
Full snow. Because
not a single bit.
Didn't see that at all. But what because I thought more like because that felt, I don't know why. I really don't know why, actually.
It doesn't matter. And then Bowie blames himself for not seeing the trap sooner. He's like, my bad. I should have seen it. Oh my gosh. Ayla thinks she can climb out, but it'll take a few minutes. But Bryn is sweating. He can't hold Bowie much longer. So she makes Bryn hand Bowie over to her, and then Bryn painfully starts to climb out. And she's like, I don't fucking care how hard it hurts. You need to climb out. And then there are shouts from above. And then Bowie looks at her and says, if they find us, I think we should let go.
Oh my God, Bowie.
And she's like, don't say that. And then a voice above them says, holy shit, Ayla? And she's in shock because it's a familiar voice. And then a rope hits her in the face. And a voice tells her to climb up. Closer to the edge, Bryn hauls her to safety. They pull Bowie up and Bryn hugs them both. Actually, they pull Ayla up and Bryn hugs her. And then he's like, oh shit, Bowie.
Yeah.
Pulls him up.
Yes.
And then he's like, hugs him too.
I just forget about
I wrote
Bowie.
it different.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
As someone said, quote, Gods, you three must be the luckiest people alive. First time we come this way on a hunt in a week. You know, things like this wouldn't happen if you'd become a healer. ... It's a very tall, broad man, dark blonde hair with another smaller blonde man beside him with a crossbow. And then Ayla said, good to see you too, Amori. Slate, I'd like you to meet my family. I love that. I mean, there are only 100 people in the village, so
Yeah.
the odds are pretty good that she would see them.
Yeah. Oh.
Chapter 24. Amori was still young at only 38. Thank you, Nicole, for writing that.
Yeah.
He might be part giant. No, he's just large. So Amori is a giant and Ewan is a full foot shorter than him, and they are husband and husband, and she has to look down at Ewan but then look up at Amori.
So cute.
So is she between them?
Obsessed.
Is she between them?
Probably. I mean, she's not their kid. Her parents dead.
I know, but like height wise.
Oh yeah, probably.
It's a very warm welcome. It's very sweet. All of her stressors momentarily melted away. Amori tells her she looks like death. It's actually insane how dirty and disheveled you look. Wow, like this is crazy. He asks if this is a new assignment for the army, but she doesn't have time to explain. Bryn is injured and he needs help ASAP. Also, we may have been followed by Neil and mercenaries. I'm very worried about that. Just to let you know.
Very, very stressed out.
Amori says they can deal with that. Let's get you back to town. And he just is like, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hever had only 24 houses. Think double the smoke.
Oh.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Whew.
Ayla recalls some childhood memories, some good, some bad, like the night she used Tomas and slept with him for comfort after the border war. They were welcomed by the whole town, and since that, like the town was always had their eyes on the borders. They were all there. They're like, who's that? Who's coming? Ayla's back. No.
Yeah, probably.
And then Tomas pushes his way through to hug Ayla. And he is, I would say, tall, dark, and handsome, as they say. Like, just like a tall drink of water.
Yeah. He's also really hot.
Yeah. So, it's very...
She's got, like, good options, no matter where she looks. She does
have good options. She still feels guilty about that terrible night, but smiles at him still. A few other townspeople greet them before she tells Tomas that her friend Bryn needs help, as he is a physician. So, he's the healer. So, he chose the healer life, and she chose the soldier life.
Yeah.
Bryn shows him his wound, and Tomas is very, very, very friendly towards him. But Bryn is like icy as fuck towards Tomas because he can tell. He can see the tension or whatever.
100%.
Tomas then asks, do you suppose the anger is a symptom of the injury or a pre-existing ailment? I think that was so funny.
Tomas's like reactions to Bryn is the funniest thing.
It is so funny, like the
world.
Dynamic.
Yeah,
there. Oh, I love it.
He's like so unbelievably unbothered.
Yeah, but he is bothered inside somewhere.
Tomas, you think is? Yeah, a little bit, but like not enough to show it, which I think is kind of hot.
It is.
It's kind of hot.
It is. Thankfully, Ewan.
Yeah, I don't know. Ewan. I would say Ewan.
Thankfully, Ewan's arrival breaks the tension. They head inside Ewan and Amori's modest 2-story cobbled together home. It sounds amazing.
It sounds amazing. I would. Yeah.
I want to stay there in an Airbnb.
I would own it.
Yeah, and rent it out.
As long as it had central AC, but yes.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Bowie is anxious. He's staring out the windows and scratching at his throat. And Ayla realized that the scratching is a nervous habit. And that's, I feel like, something that we haven't seen before either.
The nervous habit.
It's just like a nervous habit in general. He's like, poor little guy.
I pick at my fingernails.
Yeah, me too. Since the 7th grade.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ayla realized, they eat a little bit and Tomas gets to work on Bryn's wound. They try to get Bowie to leave for it, but Bryn leaves it up to Bowie and he elects to stay. And Bryn is like, it's like very painful. And he's like, fuck you bastard. Ah. And Thomas is like cheerfully polite. And it's a very funny dynamic.
He's like, that's a weird way of saying thank you.
You mispronounced thank you.
Thank you.
And Ayla is a bundle of nerves because like they are her 2 best love interests up in her life up until this point. They offered for Bowie to get cleaned up. Like they have warm water and extra clothes. And then they start stitching Bryn up. Bryn asks Tomas to run him through the town's defenses. So Bryn is like, so your defenses, tell me about it. And then Tomas is like, do you have a sword? Then you're it. It's like, we don't have much going on here. And it's funny because Bryn has no idea how people live outside the capital.
It's an ick. I'll be honest.
Ayla
Every time.
It mentions it all the time inside her head. She's like, wow, he really is just like clueless.
He's really spent no time learning about his own people.
Zero time.
That's crazy.
Tomas and company did not know that the king was killed, and Bryn starts to get an attitude, as he does whenever the death of the king is brought up. Ayla reiterates the attack from the mercenaries and how they might be headed here. And Ewan said again, they can take care of that. Like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry. And I wonder what they're going to do.
Yeah, they have no defenses, but they're going to easily take care of it.
I'm so curious.
Yeah.
Ayla wanted to move on, but she understood that they all needed time here to rest and digest and activate that parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system. Doesn't matter. Ayla decides she'll bathe in the lake and leaves. Tomas follows her out, and he's like, what's between you and Slate? Like, what's going on there? And she's like, why do you care? And he's like, you know why I care.
Oh.
And then she tries to tell him that night was a mistake, but he's like, stop. Like, it wasn't a mistake for me. Like, I knew exactly what it was for you, and I don't regret a single thing. She gets a stab of fury at his steady, sincere tone and logic. She's like, damn it, why are you so just like nice and
perfect?
Yes. It would be so easy loving Tomas, but he was the opposite of what she needed. She tells him that their lives are on separate paths. Tomas realizes she will never come home for good. And they have this like understanding. They like joke lightly with each other. And she turns around at the cottage and someone like scoots out of the frame of the window, and it was Bryn.
It was 100% Bryn.
It was Bryn.
Yeah.
And that's where we're leaving off.
This week. Yeah.
This week.
Bryn is so funny.
I love them all. I didn't expect to like this book so much, but I'm like, I'm vested in what's going to happen.
I am too. I really wish that this was longer. Like I do.
Yeah. Maybe it'll turn into a series.
I know.
But I love how in depth Bowie's character is, because you do see a lot of children sometimes in these kind of books that are just like, oh, they're like the wacky kid, but like he's so much depth to him thus far.
Got an insane amount of depth.
Yeah, in character. I love him so much.
Ugh.
What's your quote of the week?
Okay, so it's, maybe this was what the Reaper of Dunwald deserved. After banishing so many souls to eternal purgatory, perhaps her own soul had been destroyed. It seemed fitting.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I picked, how does it feel to have men flee before you? And she said, like the world is as it should be.
Oh my God, they're like completely opposite.
I know.
quotes.
I love that sometimes they're the exact same quote, and sometimes they're like the vibes are just like off the charts on the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Who would you be?
Who would I be?
Who would you be?
Ooh, Mason.
Oh, that's a good one. Fuck. I picked a really bad one, like very like insulting to myself.
What?
Maybe the soldier that jumped off the cliff. Exiled and confused. I don't know.
OMG.
Nowhere else to go.
No, that's fair.
Like making this rash decision. Who would you want to be? Was that a tough one?
This is a tough one. I don't know. Maybe Ayla.
Yeah, I picked Ayla.
I could say Ayla.
Yeah,
I like her personality.
Yeah, me too. She can hold her own a fight. She's got like all these men coming at her.
Yeah, she is a little dazed and confused, but I am obsessed.
She has some work to
She's got some work to do. Yeah, therapy
to be
had
to develop.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Who's your favorite character so far?
Oh, Bowie.
Oh, Bowie for sure. Me too.
Yeah, no
100%.
doubt. 100%.
Oh my God.
I'm obsessed.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
I wish that
Bowie
was
so
literally
much.
my child. To be fair, when he does get a little like off the rails and starts like digging into people like I've never seen in my life, I'm like, holy hell, he's got to rein that in.
Yeah, he
For
like
sure.
knows everybody's deepest insecurity, and if need be, he will attack you with it.
Yeah, or even if not need be, like that's a crazy thing. If he is the king's son and at some point he ends up taking any kind of throne or ends up being any kind of high position of power, he has to rein that in because he'll only make enemies with that.
Yeah, that makes sense for my theory that him and Bryn will work together.
No, I don't
balance
hate
each other
that.
out.
I don't hate
so,
that.
That'd be so fun. Who's your least favorite character?
Oh, that's a tough one. That is a really tough one.
It is
Probably
a tough
Splinter.
Splinter, Splinter is a good choice because we had him for a long time and he really was kind of insufferable.
He was a bit insufferable.
And just, very controlling. And
yeah. And
the way he treated Bowie especially.
Like at least like we can understand like Araxa and like Huntley and Alvin. Because like I feel like they know that they're bad and they're just like unapologetically bad and they're not trying to say anything different than like we're fucking bad. Well, Huntley kind of is saying different than I'm fucking bad, to be fair, but she's a woman and I stand by women's rights and wrongs. And honestly, like Splinter is just like so delusional, I feel like, about why he does what he does.
He's on a huge power trip.
Yeah, he's like, we're not anarchists.
We're just like business.
Conducting, someone else would. Then let someone else do it. Like, what are you talking about?
There's a demand. I'm supplying. Like, what don't you get?
Right. I'm not ruining people's lives.
No, it's not about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck Splinter. I picked Alvin. But I guess that's not true. Splinter, I do like. He could be gone from the rest of the story. I wouldn't mind. I do want to see more of Alvin.
I'm very interested. Yes, so I agree.
That's interesting. Okay. Any final thoughts about this half?
I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Me too. I am just so surprised and like delighted about the character development thus far. It's just like everyone's got so much more depth than I thought, and I'm just so happy. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like there's not a path that I could go that I would dislike, depending on like if it has a happy ending, which I'm assuming it will.
Yeah, that's true. It was really tough to get into at the beginning because there were so many characters and so much world building that you're like, what is going on? But then once her, Ayla, Bryn, and Bowie go on, like get on the road, it starts to like become a little like, all right, let's go. What's gonna happen?
Exactly.
So, well, we'll see what happens next week.
I agree.
I guess when we finish,
we'll see. We have our theories. You know our theories.
Yeah, we'll see if they come true.
Come to fruition. I don't know how it all is going to happen, but I obviously think that they're going to like save everything. Yeah. I feel like Splinter's going to die.
I hope so.
I do think Splinter's going to die.
Honestly, if he didn't come back in this story at all, I wouldn't even care.
Yeah, but I have a hard time feeling like they're not going to wrap up that character.
He is the boss of Anarchist Underground, and that's what this book is called. So
right, exactly. So they're going to have to wrap that character up at some point. But I think he'll die. I wonder whose hand it'll be by. I hope it's Bowie's. No. I hope it's Bryn's. No.
Bryn, yes. This is for Bowie.
Yeah, for Bowie. Yeah. Because Bowie won't do it on his own.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but Bryn's not a killer either.
He's not a killer either. Maybe Ayla will be like,
maybe Ayla will do it.
This is my family.
The Reaper of Dunwald.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I hope they're going to be a family.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
I'm so excited.
Or what would be fun is if his other people.
Like Nuala
if she convinced Nuala, Laz, and Dagny to kill Splinter.
That'd be cool too.
That
oh my gosh,
would be cool.
I need to read the rest of the book.
But honestly, I can see Dagny standing by Splinter's side. And like him and Splinter going out together somehow
versus everyone. Oh,
because I feel like Nuala and Laz aren't as invested.
Yeah,
but Dagny feels like he's invested.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I could be wrong at that.
We'll see.
Anyways.
We'll see. I want to see more of Alvin at this point.
I do too.
That's all I want.
I agree.
All right. Yeah. If you have any fanfic or fan art. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Send it. Any feedback or anything, send it in.
Yeah, honestly, I'll take any of it.
Yeah.
I'll take any of it. The fighting pit would be fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Even like
the cities.
Dunwald,
I just want to see the seed. I want to see Dunwald and I want to see
Ater or whatever. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I hope the physical copy has like a map or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be incredible.
I might buy it.
I agree.
I might buy it.
I agree.
It comes out November 25th, I think.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. Good for you, Nicole. That's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm very proud.
I'm
very proud of you.
Writer from Australia.
No, really though, this is incredible.
It is. I mean, it's a lot of people's dreams, and you're doing it. So
I agree.
It's amazing.
I agree.
All right.
I agree. All right. We love you all. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, did I say that already?
No.
Please email us at litlibationspodcast@gmail.com.
And we'll see you guys next week when we wrap this up.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.